Starting the meeting. Um, Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for ANC 6E September 25th, 2025 meeting. This is the first section of the meeting. The time is 6:34 p.m. We will start by doing roll call 6E01,
Present.
6E02. Any of the commissioners are in the attendees section of the webinar. You can raise your hand or unmute yourself. Okay, 6E03.
Aye. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. You're present.
Okay.
Thank you. 6E04 is vacant, 6E05 present, 6E06. I don't think he'll be able to attend today. 6E07. I think Commissioner Carson may join later. I don't see her yet. 6E08,
Present.
6E09.
Present.
Great. So we have a quorum of 5 commissioners with 1 vacancy and then 3 absent commissioners. That is great. Moving to the next item, which is the approval of the agenda. Let me share. So the agenda for today's meeting, we have third item is the approval of, can you see it okay, or shall I zoom in?
We can see it.
Okay, great. Approval of July minutes since we had the August recess. We'll go back and approve July minutes. We'll have the regular updates from Councilmember Allen's office, Mayor's office, MPD, first and fifth districts if we have any representatives. Then we have a presentation and update from the DC Department of Human Services on East Street Bridge housing, and we will be discussing a community advisory group for this project. And then Georgetown University has 2 presentations, one on activating a temporary public space to create a temporary plaza. And then the other is for a slight adjustment to building signage at 111 Massachusetts Avenue Northeast. There's a section for an application for renewing an APCA license in 6E01. We will be voting on the budget for fiscal year 2026. And then we'll have the open forum. And then we'll adjourn and meet again in October. Any comments, revisions by commissioners before we vote on it? Yeah, go ahead, Commissioner Prince.
Thank you. With regard to item number 8, I think that might be in SMD 08, depending on whether it's north or south side of Massachusetts Avenue. If
Got
it's
it.
that part of First Street that was closed, it's SMD 08. If it's something else that I'm not aware of, it's 7.
Okay, maybe I should have included. I can also just include both SMDs. Yeah, I don't think that's an issue.
Yeah, I'm just not sure which one it
Yeah, I
is.
was
I wasn't
a little
prepared.
confused.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna see the presentation now. So we'll get visuals and like understand it better. I think they previously shared it with us, but um, yeah, we'll
Yeah,
we'll get a presentation and we can just discuss the details. I know I was a little bit confused about the um SMD, but it's not an issue either way. Any other comments or revisions? Okay, great. I make a motion to approve the agenda for ANC 6E September 25th, 2025 meeting. Anyone would like to second?
I'll second it.
Okay, Commissioner Abukaloff moved and Commissioner Prince seconded a motion to approve ANC 6E September 25, 2025 um, meeting. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Commissioner Rogers, I didn't hear you.
Aye.
Okay, cool. The motion passes with 5 ayes, 0 nays, and no abstains. The next item is the approval of July minutes. If anyone um did not get the chance to read the minutes, you can abstain. Commissioner Prince, as our secretary, do you want to make a motion?
Sure. I move that we approve the minutes of our July meeting.
Great. And I second, so Commissioner Prince moved and Commissioner Abou-Kalaf seconded a motion to approve the meeting minutes for the July 2025 um meeting. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Great. The motion passes with 5 ayes, 0 nays, and no abstains. Now moving to the next item, which is an update from Councilmember Allen's office. I see John. Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, everybody. Um, can you guys hear me?
We can hear you okay.
Oh, great. Okay. Give me 1 second.
Sure.
Before I start, I wanted to let me just turn my camera on if I can. I wanted to see if other commissioners wouldn't mind putting on their camera. Just it's very hard to kind of follow the conversation. Um, anyway, I just wanted to say that. But that said, one of the things that happened in the last few weeks is that the Department of Buildings did a full inspection of the Tyler House, which is huge. I don't have a huge amount of information from it. I was not involved in it, but I did learn from a resident I was trying to help that it did happen, and that was high on our list. And then also wanted to report that we did a site visit with Councilmember Allen to 25E to the bridge housing project that DHS is going to report on tonight. Found it to be pretty spectacular. I don't know, it had not quite opened when we were there, but a lot of thoughtful kind of structural things that were really great to see in terms of the dignity that it brings and the space that people have that's a little bit more private, which is a huge piece of it, as well as it demanding that people participate in the whole wraparound services, which I think is a huge part of the success of something like bridge housing. So I just wanted to mention those two things. I also wanted to mention that the Attorney General, Brian Schwab, announced his team had successfully secured their first judgment against a dangerous driver using the STEER Act. Um, This was Councilmember Allen's Steer Act, which gives enforcement teeth to traffic cameras, basically. The Attorney General has brought a total of 24 lawsuits against drivers from Maryland and Virginia who have collectively committed more than 4,500 driving infractions that total around $1.4 million in outstanding fines. The goal here is not necessarily to collect the revenue, but to be sure that people understand there are consequences for driving dangerously to slow down. Um, the Steer Act was huge, and I'll tell you my take on it is that there was no reciprocity between Maryland, Virginia, and DC in terms of tickets. They could go after our drivers, but we could not. Effectively how do you say it? Enforce any tickets that folks got in the DC in the city itself. So this is a big step forward as and I think it's good for DC and safety in general. It's also worth noting that our efforts are showing promise. So far, year to date, our fatalities from traffic are down nearly 60%, which is huge. Over 2 years, major injuries are down 55% and fatalities are down 24%. This is not just due to the lawsuits, but also DDOT's improved road designs and also different alternatives to travel. But this is, we obviously welcome this news because the Steer Act is finally starting to hold dangerous drivers accountable. That is all I have. I know that folks know that RFK and the Rental Act did pass, and I'm happy to take any questions while I figure out how to sort out my camera. Thanks a lot.
Great. Thank you so much. Just want to make a quick note for meeting minutes purposes that Commissioner Carson joined the meeting at 6:45 p.m. Don't see Commissioner Watts. If you have joined the call, Commissioner Watts, please type in the Q&A box or use the raised hand option so we would know. Thank you for the update. John, I have a quick question about whether there are any updates about the DC budget issue that was, you know, created or um, caused by congressional appropriations. If it has ever been fixed, if it was partially fixed, and if a government shutdown on the Capitol Hill would further impact us budget wise.
So the first part of the question is about, I didn't quite hear the beginning of it.
Oh, there was I remember a budget shortfall because of
Oh, the 1.1
congressional
billion.
yeah. Has it ever been fixed? Was it partially fixed, or where
That's a
does
great
it stand?
question. I think it sort of has been fixed, but I don't think the money has hit the account. um, for lack of a sort of a crude way to say it. In terms of the shutdown, obviously, that would be huge for us. It would have a huge federal, you know, if federal agencies are going through mass firings, that's obviously going to have an impact on WMATA. It's going to have an impact on our restaurants. It's going to have an impact on all kinds of things, tourism, whatever you can think of, it will impact. Yeah, so I don't know. Obviously I am not in the know about what Trump and the Dems and the Republicans are cooking up in terms of a shutdown. My gut tells me that we are going to avert this like we have many others. I think there's a lot of posturing going on, but time will tell. But yes, of course, it would have a huge, huge impact.
Got it. Then my second question before I check if my fellow commissioners have any questions. What are like the key highlights in the Rental Act when it comes to TOPA, the Opportunity to Purchase Act? I feel like we've read a lot of different articles, but what has been passed in the final version? Like just
I
the
think what would be
major change.
useful is if I could I don't see the chat, it's disabled, but it's what I can do is post a summary with some
Yeah,
bullet points, and that might be the most helpful. I do know
yeah.
that the balance they were trying to strike is retaining TOPA rights
Mhm.
without kind of hamstringing landlords. So I think they were really trying to strike a balance there. I don't think anybody felt like they came out winning completely. So that's always a good sign of a good compromise. However, I'm happy to get a summary to you guys so you can see it
Mhm.
black and white.
Great. Commissioners, any questions or comments for John from Councilmember Allen's office?
Yep, I have one. Was just curious, do you guys have any update on Cobb Park and when that'll be opening? I know folks have been asking about it, so I was just curious if you knew.
I feel like it's kind of imminent. Um, from what I understand, and I'll have to look back at the timeline that the last update that I went to for all the stakeholders, but it really feels like it ought to be coming online pretty soon. I know
Yeah, that's what I
Kenyatta
thought too.
from the SID was very excited about it and had a soft opening even. So I can't imagine it's not going to be soon.
Okay, thank you.
Other commissioners, any questions or comments? Um, okay, constituents on the line, any questions or comments, feel free to use the Q&A box, or you can use the raise hand option. Okay, not seeing
The only
any.
other thing I'll
Yeah,
say is that one of the things that I'm trying to track is where good groceries are for folks, because I know that with the SNAP reduction, as well as other federal programs, we're going to see some of that food insecurity come up to be a higher acuity rate. And so I just wanted to flag that for people. If you hear of anything, I'd love to know about it. I'm kind of building a miniature list so that I can refer people quickly and know the deal of each place before I send it along, so that they don't send, they don't show up on a Tuesday when it's really Saturday morning to receive groceries, that kind of thing.
great. Thank you so much, as always, and thank you for working with ANC 60.
You bet.
Have a good night. And moving to the next item, I see that Noah has joined us to get an update from the mayor's office. Um, Good evening, Noah. How are you doing?
I'm well. How about yourself?
Good. Thanks for joining us. Please feel free to give us an update, and then we'll check if we have any questions.
Yeah, my pleasure. My name's Noah Glasgow. For the folks out there listening, I am Mayor Bowser's Ward 6 liaison in her Office of Community Relations and Services. That's just a fancy way of saying I'm her eyes and ears in Ward 6, and the entry point for residents into the DC government. I have just three updates from the office, and then I just want to spend a little bit of time talking about what happened over the past month and a half in relation to the presidential declared emergency, the federal surge of law enforcement, and the National Guard. But in terms of the updates from the office, we all know that because of the passage of the one big beautiful bill by Congress and signed into law by President Trump, major changes are going to be coming to Medicaid coverage effective January 1st, 2026. So DC is projecting about 25,000 adults will lose their Medicaid based solely on income. So if somebody makes around $1,800 a month in just a single person household, they may no longer qualify. However, they may qualify for a new Healthy DC plan, which is free, or a qualified health plan, which does have a little bit of cost. And those are going to be run through our DC Health Benefits Exchange office, which is the Medicaid market for DC. If your Medicaid is with AmeriHealth, Caritas DC, or with MedStar Family Choice, the DC Health Benefits Exchange is going to automatically enroll you into the Healthy DC plan, so you won't have to worry about, oh, I've lost my Medicaid, let me go ahead and enroll somewhere else. DC Health Benefits Exchange is just going to do that for you. So you will have the same company you have with your Medicaid coverage now. Although the benefits and the providers will will be a little bit different. The company providing you your new coverage, that's going to remain the same. So if your Medicaid is with WellPoint, we're going to automatically enroll you into the Healthy DC plan with Care First, Blue Cross Blue Shield. Healthy DC plan, again, it doesn't have monthly payments, also called premiums, or out-of-pocket costs for covered services when receiving care from participating doctors, hospitals, or any community health centers like that. The only difference between the current Medicaid plans and the Healthy DC plan is what is not covered. So what will not be covered under the new Healthy DC plan is adult vision, adult dental, and non-emergency transportation. Your kids, if you're on Medicaid, that will pretty much stay the same. It mostly impacts adults. But you can definitely learn more about the Healthy DC plan by going to dchealthlink.com. Again, that's dchealthlink.com, and that's the Health Benefits Exchange Office. Although it should be noted, just as a little bit of caveat, the Healthy DC plan is currently undergoing federal approval before the plan can become active, but we are promoting it on our website, so we anticipate hopefully that the feds will certainly approve of that plan. The second update that I have is about the anti-home rule bills that were passed through Congress. So 14 anti-home rule bills have passed the House Oversight Committee and still pending, and I believe 13 of them are still pending a floor vote. 4 bills have actually passed the full House already. So that's the elimination of the Judicial Nominating Commission, which allows local DC residents to help nominate the judges that will be nominated by the president and ultimately confirmed by the United States Senate. A repeal of MPD policies prohibiting high-speed chases. Third, mandatory minimums for juveniles for certain offenses. And fourth, charging juveniles as young as 14 years old as adults for certain crimes. But we don't love when anything passes either chamber of Congress, but we are actively working with our Senate Democratic colleagues to successfully filibuster these measures. All of them are subject to a filibuster, so we are going to work with them to make sure that these do not pass the Senate and land on the president's desk. And then Commissioner Abukalev, you had mentioned a potential government shutdown. I am happy to report that this would not really impact DC government operations. The only thing that would be affected is there are a few Department of Health positions that are fully funded by federal dollars, but I don't believe it's more than 10 individuals, which the loss of any job is tragic. But overall, DC government will be fine. But to my knowledge, the 1.1 billion taken from our budget actually was not given back. So we are still Congress can fix that today. They could have fixed it yesterday. They could fix it tomorrow. I know that there is talk about, giving us maybe $2-3 billion for beautification purposes. That is not the same as restoring the $1.1 billion that was taken from us. So we want it all. We want the 2 billion for beautification, and we want our money back that was originally ours. But just in relation to what happened in August, to recap, on August 11th, President Trump declared a presidential emergency in the District of Columbia by invoking Section 740 of the Home Rule Act. So that invocation that expired on September 10th of this month. And after that date, the president would have required congressional approval to extend it. But that request was subject to a filibuster. Congress ultimately decided not to take it up for a vote. And what invoking Section 740 means is that it compelled the mayor to fulfill requests from the president for certain MPD services. So that is actually separate than the increased law enforcement presence that we are seeing, and it is separate from the National Guard. But that has since expired. You will also recall, though, that President Trump tried to illegally seize control of MPD and install an emergency police chief and the DEA administrator. But the district successfully sued the federal government, and the court affirmed that Mayor Bowser and Chief Smith remained in charge of MPD, not the president. I know that there were some questions about why MPD was assisting ICE over that presidential emergency. And here's why. So the Home Rule Act, which is a federal law passed by Congress that sets up DC government, that mandates that when a president declares an emergency in the district, the mayor is obligated to fulfill the requests that the president makes for that purpose. Now, we sued in court for one, so Trump couldn't take control of MPD, and the judge agreed with us. But we also sued saying that we should not be compelled to work with ICE because it violates our local laws. And the judge, unfortunately, flatly rejected that argument, simply for the fact that the Home Rule Act is a federal law and it usurps any local law that we passed. And DC will fulfill our legal obligations. If we did not fulfill our legal obligations, we open ourselves up to lawsuit. We further fan the flames of anti-home rule sentiment on the Hill. We don't want that. Preserving home rule is our North Star. And we do also recognize that there's a fundamental injustice in that. DC is not a state. We are not afforded 10th Amendment sovereignty that the other states are extended. So our response is going to have to be limited and different compared to other states that share our same values. So until we achieve full autonomy and control our destiny through the admission of statehood, that will continue to be a challenge. Secondly, the increase of federal law enforcement, so like DEA, FBI, HSI, all of those federal law enforcement agencies, that actually happened before the invocation of Section 740 by President Trump. And the hard thing for a lot of people to swallow, because I don't want to diminish that we are certainly seeing an increase of federal law enforcement that we have not seen before, but federal law enforcement is allowed to be here as they are allowed to be in all 50 states, conducting their work, fulfilling their mission. So that is what they are doing. We do have a long history of working with our federal partners, like the DEA to disrupt fentanyl in our drug supply, the ATF to get illegal guns off of our streets, and we want to continue doing that really important work. But it's important that recognizing because of this invocation and the presidential emergency, our relationship with the federal government has changed. And so how we communicate and work with them has changed as well, which is why Mayor Bowser signed the mayor's order to create an emergency operations center to do just that. It changes the way that we communicate with them. And when we recognize that the federal government does have local priorities, DC specific priorities, we want to be in on those conversations. So it's not happening to us, but we are working with them. So the feds work with us, for lack of a better phrase, I suppose. But we definitely want to emphasize that we don't welcome this surge. We don't believe that it's necessary, but we will take the help if we can get it. And the last thing that we are definitely noticing is the increase of National Guard presence. Now, unlike the other 50 states where the governor is the commander-in-chief of the respective state guard, the mayor of DC is not the commander-in-chief of the DC National Guard. So the mayor can certainly make requests for deployment, but ultimately that has to get approved through the Secretary of the Army, the Secretary of Defense, and ultimately the commander-in-chief of the DC National Guard, which is the President of the United States. So you'll recall on January 6th, when people were storming our Capitol, we would have loved the DC National Guard to be quickly deployed out there, but the commander-in-chief of the DC National Guard was a little bit hesitant to do so. So again, a fundamental injustice of us not having statehood, why we need it, but we do not control any deployments that we are currently seeing of our National Guard, so we can't control where they are, how many people are, in a group of them, or anything like that. But I know I talked your ear off. I apologize for that. A lot of happened over the past month and a half, but happy to take any questions y'all might have.
And that was real helpful. Thank you for the update. And a lot has happened, and we had the August recess, so we could not get an update from you. I think you covered most of the major points. I don't think we have had a conversation after the passage of the bill that governs the redevelopment or the RFK stadiums. Maybe just if you can give a quick update about the major highlights that passed the council and got enacted, that would be very helpful.
Yeah, so the major highlight is that the Washington Commanders are coming home to DC. So I'm very excited about that. So we are going to be, we're currently demolishing the current RFK Memorial Stadium. We plan to build a new one, but it's not just a football stadium. We are also going to be building green space along the banks of the Anacostia River. We're going to be building housing. I believe it is 5,000 to 6,000 units, and 15 to 1,800 of which will be will be deeply affordable. I know the council put in some extra provisions to protect heritage trees along the RFK campus parcel. Um, we're also looking to build an entertainment district, a tech incubator. Those are some of the biggest highlights. We expect that the football stadium, of course, which is going to be the anchor for Ward 7, to open in 2030. And the housing, I believe that's kind of getting tricky with like the zoning laws and when that can start to go into development. But we expect 2030 to be the ribbon cutting.
Thank you so much. That was very helpful. Commissioners, any questions for Noah? Go ahead, Commissioner Prince.
Thank you. Thank you, Noah. Some ANCs in DC recently approved a resolution about the identifiability of federal law enforcement personnel, urging that it be more in line with what DC Metropolitan Police Department uses, with no masking and badge and name visible. I'm wondering, and this commission, as you probably are aware, also approved that resolution. Has that been something that the mayor's office has discussed with federal forces? Has any headway been made
Oh,
towards
we
on that topic? Thank
We
you.
discuss it quite frequently. It has been kind of a point of tension between us and the White House. The mayor has been very outspoken, especially when it comes to ICE and like them masking and them not being identified and just pulling up on folks. It almost feels like an armed kidnapping. She recognizes that it is, I believe the word that she used is terrorizing our communities. It is not helpful, and it does further erode trust between us and the community. Unfortunately, those are federal law enforcement agencies outside of DC government's prerogative. So they have their own set of standards, their own dress code, their own use of force policies, what they can do. But we continue to urge the need for constitutional policing, clearly identifying who you are, and MPD will continue to do that.
Great, thank you. Other commissioners, any questions or constituents, you can use the raise hand option or type your question in the Q&A box.
Oh, and one more thing, Commissioner Prince, I know that you emailed us earlier in the month about the 25 East Street bridge housing. I do just want to make clear, as a result of the president's increased attention on our unhoused neighbors, the mayor felt it was really necessary to quickly highlight and promote the fact that we have bridge housing available. We've got shelter space available. So we do understand that there were some community members that maybe were not the most pleased that they were not invited to that presser. But we do intend to have like another ribbon cutting to invite community members to that, because we understand that it is going to impact the community, not just our unhoused neighbors. But we certainly appreciate your understanding that there was an unfortunate emergency declared, and so we needed to act quickly to protect our unhoused neighbors.
Great. Not seeing any other questions. Thank you, Noah. This update was very helpful, and thank you for answering our questions. We will stay connected and continue working with you. Thanks again for joining us, and have a good night.
Thank you.
Um, Moving to the next item, which is an update from MPD. I see that we have Commander Hall, we have Captain. Do we have anyone else from MPD who's joining us today? Can use the raise hand option. Not seeing any Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us.
Hello, how's everybody doing? Just wanted to thank you for having me. I want to check in. As Noah mentioned, there's been a lot going on in the last 30 days plus, and I wanted to check in with the commission. I haven't been here for a while, so I want to check in and see how everybody's doing, any questions that I can answer, and give you a little update. So I'll give you an update, and then if you have any questions, feel free to uh, field those to me. Looking at our crime, we've only had one robbery, very fortunately, in the area of the ANC for the last 30 days, and that was a robbery for some juveniles, basically stealing somebody's attempting to steal. They didn't even get the bike, but bike from a ride share, a Capital ride share bike. So that's what we have for that. Our crime is down. It's down in DC overall, -10%, and we're also down in the first district. So, really importantly, our violent crime is down. So we're continuing to push that. That's the most important thing. Our carjackings, our ADW shootings, those are all still continue to trend down. So we'll be pushing that. We've been doing a lot of focus on the Mount Vernon Triangle area. That has been a spot for us where we've seen stolen autos, a lot of hop-in type vehicles, some carjackings in the past. We have I think, a very significant closure and arrest that we just put out to the press today. It's for two cases in the 400 block of K Street Northwest. One was a carjacking and one was a stolen auto, which is basically a hop-in type of stolen auto. It's a 17-year-old juvenile. He's responsible for both. They both occurred in August of this year. So every time we get one of those arrests like that, it tends to be there's many more that he's probably responsible for that we'll be able to close out as well and pin him on them. But hopefully that's going to see a reduction. We've seen our stolen autos dropping over the last 30 days. So we're seeing a significant decrease. And we've also deployed a lot of extra resources into Mount Vernon Triangle, where we have a high visibility unit there as well as the Chinatown area. And we keep one up around the Tyler House, pretty much 24/7 for those areas. So we're gonna keep working on that. We also just want to bring up the Cap One season is starting. So this weekend for us, Capital One, which will impact, all the areas surrounding it with traffic and pedestrian foot traffic. So this weekend there's an Adam Sandler concert on Saturday, and then there's a K-pop band on Sunday. So those should bring in some crowds. You'll see extra officers in the area. There'll be a SOD deployment around the arena, and then we keep an additional high visibility patrols in the surrounding outer perimeter area just to make sure that everybody can get to and from the area. Traffic is flowing in and out of the stadium area. And then we also have the DC Fiesta Fest occurring this weekend. So there could be some closures down around Pennsylvania Avenue, C Street, and Constitution Avenue around 3rd and 7th Street. So that'll be going on throughout the weekend. And the last thing I wanted to bring up is just something for the first district. We have a Special Olympics. We do this every year, a Special Olympics law enforcement torch run. We're doing that at Congressional Cemetery on the 3rd. So we welcome everybody's support. The officers will be out there and they run a 5K in support of the Special Olympics. We're also going to be down at Audi Field tomorrow supporting them as they play a soccer match against Philadelphia for the Special Olympics. So what I'd like to do is I'm going to send you our information. If anybody wants to support the fundraising for the first district team, that would be wonderful. So, or if you want to come out and cheer us on, or anybody who wants to join our team, you're welcome as well. So if you want to get some run time in, come run with our officers. But that's all I have. And if anybody has any questions, feel free to give them to me.
Yeah, thank you for the update. It would be really helpful if you can share some information, especially from MPD's perspective, about the intervention or involvement of federal forces in local policing in DC. We've been getting some questions, comments from some constituents about, seeing forces without badges, federal agents, not identifying themselves in their neighborhood. So, any information from your perspective would be helpful about how we are coordinating with federal forces, agents, and how policing and community safety has been different since these changes has happened.
Sure, happy to do that. That's one of the most frequent questions I get these days. So, and I've had some robust, deep conversations in some of the other community meetings that I've attended. So happy to field any questions with that, and we try and be as transparent as possible. One of the things for MPD, it's very important when we talk about this, is our relationship with the community is extremely important. It's why you see us at all these meetings, why we are out there. You're always going to see our face. You're always going to see our badges. You're always going to see our names. It's very important for us to have a connection with the community, and I believe we have a very strong connection. So, um, when we had the surge begin, like Noah went into a lot of the technical details and everything. Everybody knows that. What it looks like for us on the ground is, it is important to note that we do work with a lot of these agencies. Uh, daily. They're in the city. We have task force already with FBI, ATF, DEA that we do work with. But the difference is they typically aren't suited up and going out with us. Now, Capitol Police, Park Police, Metro Transit, they're going to be out there in a patrol capacity. Some of these other federal agencies don't typically do that. So during this surge, and it's we're still continuing to work with them in this capacity. They basically will go out teamed up with our officers, and we have hotspot areas that we kind of do in a couple different ways. There's hotspot areas that we're going to focus on, and there's also teams that go out and they're conducting high visibility patrols, and then we have an investigative piece of it as well. And then you've got kind of like the fourth side, which is one we have very little control over, but that's the National Guard, and they're in high visibility areas as well, areas that metro stations, the Navy Yard. They've been in Chinatown, out on foot, being highly visible. Their eyes and ears, a visible presence. But one of the things, as I said, that having that liaison piece is important to us to keep that connection with the community. And we understand there's been some rough patches along the way. And we are connected to it because we're there with our federal partners. But what, is very important to have our officers along with the federal task force as they go out, because we are that piece. We do know the city. We do know the community. We're able to show the city a different light from what they may know. A lot of these federal agents are coming from other areas, other places. They don't really know the community and they don't know the area. So we're teamed up with them. We go out there, and the goal for everybody is to reduce crime, to have public safety, less crime. We want the community to be safe. We want our shootings and homicides, robberies to go down, and we want to get people who are committing these uh, you know, arrested, and so they can see justice. So that's what we've been doing. Our officers are along with them. So you will always see, for the most part, now federal agencies can do different things outside of our purview, but when we're in a task force function, we are teamed up with them. So you have a point of contact that is Metropolitan Police Department pretty much at all times on these scenes. There's sometimes they're gonna operate solo, but that could have happened anyway. In this task force setting, for the most part, we are there, so you can see the officers. You'll always have some point of contact for most of these situations to kind of get a starting point for, because like we said, some of these the other agencies are coming from other areas and they may not be as identifiable. Some people don't even know what some of the acronyms are for some of the agencies that they see out there. So the hope was not only to help the mission be more successful, but also to have that face that you do know out there with these task force members conducting these operations. And we have, a communication system set up so we can communicate with each other along the way.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Prince and then Commissioner Hans.
Yeah, thank you. Commander Hall, I'm curious in that process of determining the missions in the task forces. You know, is there any agency that has the priority or the final say? I mean, what drives the agenda there? Which hand is the strongest? I'm interested in knowing whether the federal agenda is overriding MPD priorities, or MPD is running the show, or whether it's negotiated in some way. Thank you.
Right. So for the most part, that's a great question. Probably not one just great answer for it because a lot of it is what, crime situations, incidents are very fluid, and every day, 24-hour period is a fluid situation. We don't know what's going to happen the next hour from when we're talking right now. So everything could change at that time. But we did come out with a basic idea and plan of how we're going to uh, deploy these task force, and that is commanders such as myself. We're contributing our crime suppression teams for the most part to this task force. So we're giving them areas where we want to go them to go. Like I was saying, the task force, they want crime to go down. So they want the best way to do that is to talk to people and know where the crime is. So we're giving them areas where we think the crime's going to happen, where we need them to go, and how best to do it with our crime suppression team on the ground for the most part leading the way. Now that's kind of like an in the trenches thing. There are command systems over that can override any of that and direct them at different areas. Like I said, as the night progresses and situations become fluid, if an area becomes very significantly hot or there's a lot of incidents happening in one area or some major incident happens, they could probably be get a direction from some other entity to come down, which would be the command center where I'm saying that. There's like a joint command center with everybody in there. And that's kind of worked out from there, and they're monitoring the situation each night. So I guess the best answer to your question is the overall plan is pretty much an MPD where we want them to be. But the federal partners can come, they can also do their own thing, which you sometimes see, but they can also kind of pull it to another area if something's happening.
Thank you, Commissioner Hans.
Yep. All right. So I have a few questions. They're actually all related to 25 East Street. That's actually the main topic that we're talking about tonight. So for starters, we are planning on starting a community advisory team, a CAT, and we would like to have a MPD rep that could participate. Do you know who that rep would be? Is there a particular person that you have in mind for that?
Yeah, it's a great idea, and we've also gotten the same, some concerns from the community about the shelter. So,
Yeah, because I mean, like we've had a bunch of meetings, and I think the biggest stakeholder that's been missing has been you guys. So I really feel like we need to get you involved. So I can send you an email about it if that would be helpful.
yeah, that'd be great. We'd love to be involved. So, we
Okay.
have Captain Herberneck, who's actually on this call as well, but Lieutenant Archer. Sure, from there we'll figure out one of those, be one of those two, most likely that would be involved in that team.
Okay. And then my other question is, do you guys have a relationship with Amtrak Police or like a POC there? I saw them drive by the shelter, so I'm wondering if they could possibly assist as well. I reached out to them, but I haven't heard back. I was just curious if you guys know firstly if they can help and if you have a POC.
Yeah, we have a great relationship with Amtrak. We do a lot of operations with them and we have great connections. However, I will tell you realistically, Amtrak sticks to Union Station and only Union
Okay.
Station. So getting them to do something outside that is probably just gonna be a no-go.
Okay. That makes sense. And then the last thing is actually we're going to be talking about this issue right after you guys. So if one of you has time and wants to stay on, please feel free to.
Thank you.
That's all for me.
The question about how far out are traffic patterns typically alter during Capital One's event season? Do you have information about street block span? I mean, I don't know, does that vary by the event? like traffic closure or traffic patterns altered? I don't know if you have.
It can vary by event, but typically F Street is closed. It opens up after the crowd has come and gone. Uh, at the conclusion, usually as the event is beginning to conclude, Sixth Street will become closed or in some way, like in one direction. And sometimes Seventh Street, depending on how big the crowd is, they're going to do that. And then we're trying to divert traffic, get traffic out through Third Street Tunnel, down Seventh Street, and quickly out. So that's what a lot of that is. They'll close it and make the traffic go one way out or in on those 6th and 7th Street areas. But yeah, each event's going to probably have a little different look to them depending on how large that crowd is.
Got it. Other commissioners, any questions before we open um, the segment for constituent questions? Okay, not seeing any. I see that there's one raised hand. Just a reminder, constituents, you have 2 minutes to make any comments or ask any questions, and then you can get a response from our guests. Seeing that Nancy has the raise hand option, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you so much. Commander Hall, thank you. You and your whole team are wonderful, very responsive, very much appreciated in terms of having a relationship with at least our little community. So thank you very much. I wanted to circle back to Commissioner Hans about the Amtrak police. So from experience, 30 years, I've never seen Amtrak patrol our block, but I do see Capitol Police routinely patrol our back alley, our side alleys, E Street, the side streets. So maybe we can fill in the Capitol Police of what's happening with the bridge housing and that there might be an extra need. Now, my real question, because it's happening in real time as we speak, Commander, years ago, there used to be a joint program between MPD. At some point, the downtown bid was involved and the mental health services, where if you had an incident that needed more mental health intervention rather than crime or police intervention, there was a way to make that happen. The reason I'm asking is because yesterday morning, I don't know if you heard, but we had 2 fires out behind the newly opened bridge housing building. And then last night, that same suspected individual was prowling the back alley all night, yelling and screaming. Yes, we called 911. And then all afternoon today, and I think still right now, that same individual is outside in the alley screaming her head off. And I have photos of her dragging stuff out of the dumpster from the shelter. And we're just afraid, one, she's going to start another fire. But it's obvious that she's mentally unstable, or there's some issue there, emotional issue there. That's more that than a crime issue. Is that program still around, and how do we access it?
So Downtown Bid does have a mental health team. Also, the operating around Union Station is the 3H project, which also has a mental health team component. So it's something we can bring up to both of them about that. I'll tell you, you have another option as well. It's the DBH Crisis Response Team. You can call them. The number to them is 202-673-6495. That's a 24/7 line. So they're supposed to come out as well if there's somebody that, let's say you call and this person's having a crisis in the alley, and we're trying to get a non-MPD, non-police response. That's something that they're supposed to do. The other thing is we have I don't know if I've told you about this before, Nancy, or not, but the core team And they are a co-response team basically with DBH. Now they're more of a day, unfortunately, pretty much it's a small unit within MPD where they're teamed up with DBH and an officer. So that's another thing we can do is give them that area in that alley behind your building there, and maybe we'll see if we can get them to start going up there and patrolling that a little bit. And they're trained. They have DBH civilians with them, teamed up with crisis intervention officers from MPD as well. So they're ready to jump into it if they need to. And then the last thing is, yes, Capitol Police. We can definitely let them know that we would, really appreciate their help patrolling that area, especially with the shelter opening up.
Great, thank you. I see another raised hand, Caitlin. Go ahead and ask your question.
Thank you. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, awesome. So Commander Hall, thank you. I just wanted to piggyback on what Nancy said about the issue yesterday with the fires behind the building. So if there is a way for MPD to, or someone, whether it's MPD or Capitol Police, someone to increase patrols like in our alley, that would be great. Just having like 2 fires a set in the span of half an hour, like just outside my bedroom windows, was like not the most I don't know, not the greatest feeling in the world yesterday. So if there's any way to just increase security patrols in our alley, just to prevent people, I mean, I think that's a prime example of why it's not great to have people loitering, hanging out in the alley. And I know we've had conversations about that before. So thank you for your efforts to continue to help us keep these issues to a minimum. Also, just with the mental health resources that you mentioned, like what is the preferred option here? Like, 'cause I actually did phone 911 about an hour and a half ago now about the individual that Nancy mentioned. Like, what is the preferred option? It's like, do I just call the DBH crisis response team? What instead of 911, or do I do both? Like, what's the preferred option there?
I would say for that, you can really try, like, if you try the crisis response and see what kind of, what their ETA is or what they're going to say. That's a good way to go. If the person isn't, like, they're laying fires, and that's 911. If they're out there maybe just talking to themselves, that could be like the crisis response or something like that. But if you think they're becoming violent, then we want a 911 response, because we don't want somebody to get hurt, and nobody should have fires lit outside there. That's alarming to everybody. So yeah, we need to deal with that. And we have officers that are trained to handle that. And more than likely, most likely, my experience is you're probably gonna get you will get quicker response from 911. And DBH is kind of like, you know, we have to see, but it's definitely an option out there. I give it to people because if you see like that person that just looks like they're having a mental health crisis, but not to the point of being violent or doing something, acting out, it's probably a good option, because then we get the civilians out there. The other ones, downtown bid and 3H project is probably something we'd have to talk to them about, kind of expanding, making sure they're over in that area, and see what kind of response we can get from them. And we will make sure we're familiar with that alley. So we'll make sure we put on our officers' radar to get back in that alley and go through it. But we can I know Nancy said it, but you said there's somebody in the alley right now that's doing, I didn't catch exactly what they're doing in the alley now. Caitlin,
I can ask
just give me a second.
Nancy,
We can speed it up. I can
clarify. Nancy, could you briefly clarify what's happening in the alley for
Yeah,
the
the woman that we suspect of setting the fires yesterday has been in the alley all afternoon. Several calls to 911 were made. I do not hear her right this minute. Caitlin, I know you have a better view than I do. But they were there all afternoon. Your guys showed up several times. So my follow-up question is, if we call 911 and your guys show up, can they make the call to the mental health people that you mentioned?
They can, but like again, like sometimes that response is not. It can be not the. I want to say not the quickest response. So. What they're going to do pretty much when they get there, most likely, is going to be they're going to do an assessment of the person and see whether they are a threat to themselves or others. That's the threshold for us and DBH actually to move past, removing somebody if if they're doing something, at the time. So, it's frustrating. I know to some people they'll see us come out and the officers conduct that assessment because at that time they don't have anything else to go on except what the person's displaying to them at that point in time. Even though you may have seen something hours ago, when they get there, it's like, okay, now the person's not displaying those. That's sometimes what kind of happens there. So, we just have to go back and do it again. But we can definitely like there's other options, and I think the core team's a good one just to get in to be down around there and getting those other organizations and working around that area will be very helpful. But we'll have somebody go through that alley right now and check it.
Right. That we are past our time. Last call for any other comments or questions. Okay. Not seeing any. Thank you very much. And I think it would be great if that conversation could be continued offline. If we can reach out to Commissioner Hans, and then make the connection with the core team and continue following up on this issue to get it resolved. And we appreciate your cooperation and work with us.
All right. Thanks, everybody, and have a great night.
Thank you. Okay, moving to the next segment, which is an update from the Department of Health Services on East Street Bridge. This will see Tyler as well. Commissioner Hans, are you able to share the presentation?
Yeah, I'll share it. Give me a second.
Good afternoon. I also have Anthony Newman will be giving the
Yeah. Good
presentation. Yeah.
afternoon or good evening. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear both of you. We will be sharing the slides. Sorry to keep you over time, but lots
No
of
worries.
updates to discuss. Maybe if we can keep the presentation up to 10 minutes and then have
Sure.
room for Q&A afterwards, that would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we can do that because I think some of you have seen the building and are aware. We wanted to give an opportunity to bring the community up to date as to where we are and some of the next steps, and to sort of refresh what the E Street building and E Street facility is going to be. So first off, again, my name is Anthony Newman. I'm the Deputy Administrator for Homeless Services for the Department of Human Services. And I appreciate, again, the opportunity to join you all this evening to tell you about the exciting news that's coming up or happening right as we speak, and that is the opening of the E Street Bridge Housing Facility. If we can go to the agenda slide, Tyler, I guess. As I go through this in the next few minutes, we're going to review a little bit about what makes this program and this facility different from what your expectations could be or might be from a typical low barrier shelter. We'll talk a little bit about what the program is. We'll introduce Miriam's Kitchen very briefly and try to explain what happens next. So with that, let's go to the next slide, where it's low barrier versus bridge housing. On the left, some of you may have seen some of this before, but on the left is an example of the old 801 East men's low barrier shelter. This is the sort of standard shelter for which we had for many years operated across the district. We are getting away from that look even in our low barrier. But if you take a look at some of the things you'll notice, the bunk beds, the large congregate setting, the just the sheer number of people who would be in that room. That is the way a lot of our low barrier shelters had been designed in the past. Just a thought too, a comment about what it means to be low barrier. That really does mean what it sounds like, and that is to get a bed there is a low barrier, a low threshold to be admitted, to be offered a bed. Essentially, you just need a bed and agree to some basic rules about decorum, and we have to have a bed available, and you're in. On the right-hand side, that is an actual bedroom from the East Street shelter. And you'll notice there's only 2 beds. And some of the rooms only have 1 bed, and we'll talk a little bit why that is in a moment. You'll notice that there's no congregate setting. You hear us refer to it as non-congregate. And what you're looking at is what that means when we talk about it. As a non-congregate room, there's a bathroom in that suite. There's also a closet. On the bottom left-hand side of that, you see in the photo, there's the top of a drawer. And in that drawer, there's 2 of those. So each of those participants in the program will have their own drawer, chest of drawers. So every room will be set up more or less like this. The color schemes change a little bit, but that's the basic look of the room. If we can go to the next slide. Why bridge housing? Well, first off, let's talk a little bit about how you get in, because as I mentioned, low barrier shelters will admit anyone who needs a room. But to be admitted into that bridge housing program and to be able to participate in the program, you have to go through a coordinated, what we call a CAP process. And what the coordinated access process does, it helps us to identify the clients who are most vulnerable and rank those who have the highest level of vulnerability. And those are the folks we will be offering housing to, or shelter to rather, first. So the people who meet certain categories will have a higher score. Those scores will help them have access to bridge housing, as opposed to just being able to just walk up to the front door, so to speak. Once you're in bridge housing, there is a requirement to participate in case management. This is not true for low barrier, but it is true for this program. And each participant in the program must participate. And when I say participate, that just doesn't mean comply. It means to help devise the program, help identify your own needs, and take action steps as outlined by the case management program. Some of the people who are going to be here will actually have an additional case manager, because if they are have the opportunity to hold a permanent supportive housing voucher, and some of the clients in this facility will be eligible or have been deemed eligible for that voucher, they will have an additional case manager beyond that which is assigned to the building. You saw the private rooms. There's 2 persons private rooms. The other thing that's different is there's a built-in timeliness to ensure that clients move towards permanent housing. Again, a difference from low barrier. This particular site, like our other bridge housing facility, we will serve men, women, and non-conforming individuals. It is an opportunity for anyone who needs a bed, and it goes directly towards making homelessness rare, brief, and non-recurring by making available an option that otherwise people wouldn't take. And we'll talk about that. So next slide, please. So how do you get in? What is the overview of the program itself? Well, we expect that the average client stay will be somewhere between 3 and 10 months. It's going to vary because we're going to be admitting different categories of people, and depending on what category you're admitted in will really determine how fast you'll be able to get out. Miriam's Kitchen, as I mentioned before in this presentation, will be the provider. Who's the program designed for? One, there'll be folks in respite care. And by respite care, we mean really some short-term medical place to be if you have a short-term medical need that prevents you from really staying in low barrier or congregate setting. There are also a lot of folks who are best served in non-congregate bridge housing settings as opposed to low barrier. And who would that be? Well, that might be someone like I am in fine health. I might have a medical disorder which needs me to not be in an area because I need to rest or relax because of my medical condition. I can't be out and about with the same ease. But I'm otherwise ambulatory and can take care of my own needs on a day-to-day basis. It might be someone who is, I've given the example of an adult family. So what does that mean? It means that a parent and a child, both over the age of 18, if right now that family is inclined to live outside because we don't have co-ed family shelters for adults. This building solves that problem. That also includes partners, spouses, and domestic partners will also be able to utilize this facility, which is why some of the rooms are single beds. Also, we will have, lastly, some specialty bed opportunities, and a specialty bed will also require case management, but that'll be things like senior women, women over the age of 50 or 55 will be admitted into that area. In all cases, they will participate in case management. Next slide, please. Miriam's Kitchen, I mentioned before, will be the provider. This is a little background about Miriam's Kitchen, other outreach efforts in the city. Miriam's Kitchen is one of the 3 providers that provide outreach in the district, mostly in the northwest parts of DC. They provide wraparound services. They have a permanent supportive housing division. They do daily living skills. They do employment and benefit assistance. And most importantly to us, they are experts and intimately involved with the case management needs and the outreach needs of outreach clients. So many of the folks, and one of the groups of people who will be targeted for this particular facility will be those who are coming from outside, who live either in encampments or otherwise in shelter. We know that people who live outside and who are otherwise in shelter are oftentimes resistant to come into congregate settings. We think that by offering non-congregate settings, we'll be able to offer an opportunity for people who currently live outside to live inside, receive a certain amount of stability, and then be able to participate in case management that will ultimately lead them to permanent housing. Miriam's Kitchen is one of the 3 providers that we use who really excel at that. So having them in this facility is really a good use of their innate basic skills and being able to use them in a more comprehensive way. Next slide, please. Okay, so what's next? Where are we now? We've gone through, I think we provided partially of this timeline, and other times we've come to speak before this group. We are now in the fall 2025 portion of the slide deck and or of the timeline. We have already begun to admit clients into the building. The first group we've had a soft opening for lack of a better word, and there are already clients living in East Street. And if you're watching the building, you may see people moving in tonight. We expect a few more to come in later on after work. Next slide, please. Community advisory team. So I know there's been some talk about establishing a community advisory team. DHS, we participate in community advisory teams before in other facilities that we have across the city. Oftentimes, we started doing this in our short-term family housing facilities, but we also are very involved with the community advisory team around the Aston, which is our other and first bridge housing facility for which this particular program is based on. Just some takeaways about what the community advisory team, how does it function. We expect that Miriam's Kitchen, ANCs, tenant associations, MPD, as has been mentioned, DGS, Department of General Services, who's responsible for the maintenance of buildings. We bring these stakeholders together and provide a forum that people can use to share concerns, ask questions, learn about the program, and really take public input and be able to respond to the public in a very effective way and giving them a direct voice so we can communicate directly. The team, we have found that about 15 members when we're working at the Aston seems to be a good size, by which you tend to get the proper representation across a various amount of constituency and stakeholders, and it is also sort of a workable group for accomplishing things. The stakeholders at the Aston CAT, I will tell you, we have a diverse group of opinions and people. We have a lot of folks who have different levels of concern about the Aston, and through the CAT, we've all worked together. We came up with a good neighbor agreement. We agreed on the terms of how we would conduct our sort of selves and our business functions of the meetings themselves. And we have robust and good dialogue where we have an opportunity to exchange ideas and feedback. So I think most folks who participate in that will say it has been very successful. Next slide, please. And so what's next? So again, the last thing I will say is Miriam's is already there. You're going to see clients arriving this week. And then as the next month and so go through the next month or so, you'll start to see other clients arrive later on. We will continue our engagement, not only with the CAT development, but we'll also participate with our continued community area walkthroughs, which I think we've done a few times. We have put together on this link that when you go to it, if you're interested in being a member of the CAT, we're going to provide this link, which will allow you to sign up and so you can express your interest. And so with that said, I don't know if that was 10 minutes, but that is the extent of our presentation, and I can answer hopefully questions as you may have.
Thank you so much. It was about 10 minutes plus
Okay.
minus two. I have a quick question, and I struggled a little bit with understanding who puts who would put the CAT team together. I reached out to the office of the ANC. They said it's probably Department of Human Services, but they were not sure. Is that the case?
It varies depending on it. I mean, I think what we'll end up doing is, I would tell you also who will participate in the CAT will be someone from the executive office. Usually it's somebody from the mayor's office or the deputy mayor's office. Once you establish the CAT, the Aston CAT is chaired by a member of the deputy mayor's office as well as an ANC commissioner or an ANC appointed commissioner. So I think that's the other formation of that. Once we establish that who that leader will be, and it'll be one of those folks. DHS typically does not provide the lead, serve as a lead agency. We are more of a participant as well. Obviously we are a major participant, and that is our shelter. But that's one of the sort of details that we'll start to iron out once we figure out what the interest level is.
Okay, so it most probably would be co-shared by someone from ANC 6E.
Yep.
And then someone from the executive
office.
brand.
That's likely to be the case.
Okay. Because the office of ANC shared a document that would share some representatives that could be included. I don't think it's like it's maybe some guidance. I don't think it's like a rule, but 10 representatives from the ANC, including commissioners, civic or neighborhood association members, school representatives, and then a ward council member or a participant from the council member's office, and then two stakeholders from a homeless services provider, and then three representatives from DC executive government. Is that the case, or is this just like a template that they have from previous?
Yeah, I mean, that sounds close to right. At the Aston, that's basically it. There on the government representative side, there's multiple agencies who might be involved with that.
Right.
we can share with you if you have a list that you want to share. David Ross, who I think you have his connection contact, or Tyler, who's on this, you can definitely send them that, and we'll exchange how the other cat, and we can sort of figure out that. And but then MPD does not participate in the Aston cat, right? But that's a desire for this cat, so it'll look a little bit different depending on the needs of the community.
Who won't be? Sorry, I missed that. Who won't be?
Oh, I'm sorry. Like, for example, at the Aston cat, where we have the other group housing, there is no MPD membership on it.
Got
it. The needs of the community will really dictate how that cat will be formed.
Okay. So it can be
yes,
worked out. And then for the ANC representatives internally, we would have, I think, the chair or someone on behalf of the chair and another commissioner also in a single member district be a part. And then for community members or neighborhood associations, would the ANC determine who is participating in the CAT, or how does that go? Like, if multiple people express their interest, how do we make decisions about who and how many people to include?
Well, I think the first thing is identify what those roles are going to be. For example, are we going to have 3 members from tenant associations, 2 members from whatever? So I think the first thing is to identify what those slots are, and then we will find the people who will want to. We've left it up to the community to identify who will represent those roles. So DHS, we don't determine who the community representatives are. We are literally participants as well. So I think once we decide who the chairs are going to be, and we start building the CAT from the CAT infrastructure, and we sort of identify those positions, then those people from those representatives from those positions will self-identify who should represent them.
Sounds good. Commissioners' questions and comments, and I see that Commissioner Carson has the raise hand option. Go ahead, Commissioner Carson.
I'm sorry. Hello, I just had a question. As far as staff training, what type of training will the staff receive to handle like conflicts and disturbances, and how would they interact with the residents to foster a positive environment?
Thank you for that question. So yes, first off, all of the folks who work in any of the DHS facilities will receive a sort of baseline training. And amongst that baseline training, it includes things like de-escalation, trauma-informed services. Some will go as further to deal with particular training of a particular constituency, but all of those are provided by either the providing agency, in this case, Miriam's Kitchen, or the community partnership, which is TCP, the Community Partnership for the Ending of Homelessness. They are the actual provider, first line provider or operator of all of our facilities. And so Miriam's Kitchen is actually a subcontractor of TCP. And so TCP will also provide those. And I'll say this too, when thinking about bridge housing, we know that sometimes the people who come in may have a little bit more needs to address in order to make sure that they are stabilized enough to move on with the rest of their lives. The people we put in are the folks who are trained in just dealing with that constituency. And again, as I mentioned before, with Miriam's having been an outreach provider for many years, they are actually pretty well suited as well as any provider for understanding those needs and being able to work with clients through de-escalation and using their trauma-informed training. There'll be social workers. We'll have access to mental health providers. And so if part of the need for a particular client is in need of being connected to a core service agency, they have the ability to do that too. We also will invite DBH on a client by client need. So there'll be a lot of opportunities for clients to sort of address their needs in that way, if that answers your question.
Yes, thank you for that. And just one more in regards to like the noise levels, because of course it's downtown DC. You have
Yeah.
Union Station and just lights everywhere and things like that. So what measurements will be implemented to manage noise levels, particularly during the nighttime, to minimize disturbance to nearby residents?
Sure. With
If any.
the E Street facility will have a curfew. And so on a most basic level, you won't see E Street, you're not likely to see residents from E Street just outside and about anyway, because there is a curfew. As part of living at E Street, you have to comply with certain rules and regulations. There's also, like, we refer to them as program rules. And so there's program rules that each client will follow. And so noise is one of those things we keep in control in that way. And again, this might be an issue that we want to address as part of the Good Neighbor Agreement, even too, when we get to having to see the CAT team. That might be something we want to talk about. But that, in a nutshell, the answer is program rules and curfews.
Thank you for that.
Yes, of course.
Okay. Other commissioners, any questions? Okay.
Sorry, just a quick thing. So just in terms of like immediate next steps for the CAT, we should just fill out that form, correct, Anthony, for now, and then we'll go from there and I get,
Yeah,
sorry.
I would suggest filling out that form for anyone who might be interested. If
Okay.
you have an ideal of the kind of construction you want the committee to be in, by all means, share that with David Ross and Tyler Edge. We will, in turn, I will commit Mr. Ross and Tyler to sharing with you all how the other CAT is formed. And then we will work out that part. And then after that, it'll be picking names, starting dates, and then once that CAT's formed, then we can talk about what the work of the CAT is, and we'll introduce from DHS's perspective what that looks like from others. But really, how that works in this particular CAT, it's a collaborative process. So even though we've done this before, and even though we can kind of give an orientation of how that works, the actual CAT Good Neighbor Agreement will be determined in concert with the members of the CAT.
Okay, that sounds good. So I will then, I'll reach out after this, and we've also put together a list of people we thought might want to be a part of it. So we'll share that with you too.
Perfect. Thank you.
I know we don't have access to the chat, but I also added the link to the questions portal just in case you want to share it with other folks.
Yes, I believe I sent that out to everybody, so everybody should see it.
Can also add it to the chat again. So one quick clarifying question about the two co-chairs of the group. Would it have to be one of the co-chairs would have to be an ANC commissioner, or could it be someone on the behalf of the commission, even if they're not the commissioner?
I think we've had ANC. I honestly, I'm not sure. The ANC commissioner has appointed folks before, and so I don't know. I don't know. I don't have.
Yeah,
any,
we can
we'll have
also
to say, yeah,
you
we'll
know
have to come back
discuss.
to that.
Yeah, we can also discuss by email. Doesn't have
Okay.
to be answered. But we can
I know.
continue that.
I know it is not always. It does not have to be the chair. There are appointees.
Right.
ANC. I just don't know. I know
Yeah, I believe.
it's always been an ANC, but I don't know if
Yeah.
that's like coincidence or rule. I guess that's my hesitation to answer the question.
Got it. Okay. We will open the space for constituents to ask questions, make comments as usual. We remind you to be thoughtful about time, so 2 minutes per question or comment, and we'll start with Nancy and then Caitlin.
Hello, this is Nancy again. You can hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
So this is directed at the ANC, your commissioners here. A few months back, I had the opportunity to sit in on an Aston CAT meeting. They're very accommodating. So if any one of you would like to sit in on one of their meetings, they'd be more than happy to accommodate that. so that you can get an idea of how those meetings run and what the topics they cover. Also, the then chair of ANC CAT, Jim Malik from ANC 2A, sent me a copy of their Good Neighbor protocol, and also a list of how their CAT is structured in terms of membership and responsibilities. If any of you would like me to send that to you, I'd be more than happy to do it. That's for for Mr. Newman, this is all lovely. When is this going to happen? Bridge housing is already taking residents. You can imagine my anxiety since we've already had some problems. And while you're answering that, can you also give us a concrete contact person that we can reach 24/7 inside the bridge housing, which would have come in very handy yesterday when the fires were happening? So 2 questions there.
Sure. I will follow up this meeting with an actual contact of the people in the ASN where you'll be able to call. There is a manager on site 24/7. As a follow up to this meeting, we will make sure that the ANC chair, that you have all that contact information you can distribute to whatever the list you have. Ms. Rosen, I will make sure you get that list yourself directly as well. The first question was, I'm sorry, what was the first question? The contact information. There was another question in there for us?
No, I think the first question was for the ANC. Yeah, and Nancy, feel free to share it with Commissioner Hans, and then he can share the document with all of us. Let us know if we missed any of your question. Okay. Was that your question, or was there another question for?
No, my main question is when? When are we going to get the CAT? When are we going to get the Good Neighbor Protocol? When is it? I've been asking for months. I'm a little frustrated. When is this all going to happen since residents are already moving in?
Okay.
I mean, we're doing it now. Once we get the list, we get the names, we'll start scheduling meetings. There's no impediment to once we identify from the ANC and the community who will be on the CAT, there's no impediment from the district in participating in that.
Thank you. Caitlin, do you still have a question or a comment?
I have a question.
Sure. Go ahead, Commissioner Rogers, and then Caitlin, if you have a question or comment.
Here, right? What kind of setup y'all have for letting people in? Is it first come, first serve, or you have to do an application or get with a social worker? What's the access about? How y'all going about doing this?
Yeah, that's a good question. So in this slide, and I'll talk a little bit more detail. So let's say hypothetically, we have a hypothetical client who lives outside of whatever building downtown. The case manager, who may work, say, for Miriam's, or if it's downtown, Pathways to Housing, has identified this person, and because they did an assessment test that you'll hear us refer to as the VI SPDAT, for example, right? And that is an assessment test that really identifies your chronicity and your level of risk for further homelessness. They'll go through this exercise, they'll identify, and then they'll decide from that what your overall score is. And then you'll be submitted to this coordinated access process where there's actually another group, not DHS, it's TCP, it's managed by TCP. And what TCP does is put you on a admit list for DHS, and they rank them. And so then when we have buildings open up, DHS will then pull from that ranking, or Miriam's will pull from that ranking, and then call the particular individual through their case manager or directly and ask if they're still interested. So we will build a list. We have a list right now that we've already designed where people have already started that process. They've already been screened by the CAP, that's the acronym we use. They've already been screened and identified. And then we will start reaching out to those clients, and that's how you get in. So you could not just walk up to the front door and ask, it's like, hey, I'd like to stay here. That would make it a low barrier shelter, and that's not what you're going to see. So the people you see coming in will be scheduled entries. It'll be, we'll know they're coming. And they will be sort of invited into the program. Once they're in the program, there's an intake process where we review all the rules and what's going to happen next, and we sort of get them oriented to the program. Then they're literally assigned a room, and we're off. Does that answer your question?
Oh, that's one question, right? Is this a men's and women's shelter?
Yeah, it's men, women, or non-conforming. It's really for anyone and anybody who is an adult resident of the District of Columbia who is in need of this type of facility.
That's a big complex, right? So they have to live in this jurisdiction.
They have to live within the district. Yes, I mean, to be eligible, much like our Aston program, you have to be a DC resident. But you know, what part of the district, depends. That's not a factor.
Okay. That was my main question, right? Do you have anybody from Maryland coming over here?
No. In fact, you can't. You're not eligible for this. You can't have a Maryland driver's license and be in the bridge housing. You've got to be a Washingtonian, and that's part. And we established that before you're admitted into the program.
Gotcha.
Great, thank you. Caitlin, do you still have a question or a comment for Department of Human Services? Caitlin, are you still there? I don't, can't hear you. Any other questions or comments? I have to wrap up this soon. Nancy, last thoughts or comments before we wrap this up?
Yes, for the commissioners that were on the walkthrough last week, we all saw the new smoking section, outdoor smoking section. And I don't remember if there was, and if I didn't hear it, a resolution to how that area is going to be secured so that outside people can't just sit there and congregate. Was there a resolution to that?
I think
Go ahead, Anthony.
We have visited that topic with the Department of General Services, DGS, and I think they are investigating solutions for that.
Okay. See, and this can also be part of the items that the CAT would focus on. I see Karen, questions or comments for Department of Human Services?
Hi, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
I submitted a question, but I don't see it on the screen.
A question, and what was the question about? It was more of a comment. Was there a question in it?
More of a comment, but also a question.
Okay, go ahead and ask it now.
Okay, well, I support Nancy and her efforts. I was the ANC commissioner in this area for 20 years before the census changed our border lines in 2010. And I can affirm that there's lots of negative activity in that alley. I would like to suggest Nancy has worked hard to develop relationships with all the businesses that abut that alley, the Hilton Hotel, the businesses on F Street. I would like to ask Bridge Shelter to also support an effort to increase the light and the cameras, the activated cameras in that alley to prevent negative activity in the evening. Is that possible?
I certainly will say this, that the bridge housing facility, the DHS, the Miriam's Kitchen folks, we will do everything we can to be good neighbors and to make sure that we, do not add to anybody's grief who lives there. We want to be good neighbors. And when things happen that involve our facility, we certainly want to be responsive and make sure that we address any concerns that arise out of that. The immediate building itself will be patrolled by security, not the district property or the alley per se, but like the area that we were just talking about, where the smoking and table, that area and the front door, the sort of property of the building itself will be monitored by security. And I do know that they are putting in additional cameras in the area. So if there's things that we can do that with respect to the building itself, we are certainly able to do that. And if there's any way that we can make the enhancement for security better for the East Street, that's really one of the things that I think we would address in the CAT as well.
So for the comments about improving the alley, so it's a public space, and is this like within a business improvement district area? Would it just be another DC agency that would be responsible for improving lighting and improving,
Yeah,
conditions of that alley?
that's above. That's a little bit outside my lane. I would
Okay.
be speculating like you. I would speculate DPW or something, but I wouldn't know. That's
Okay. Well, that's something that we can also look into and address as part of the group that will be established. Karen, did you have any last thoughts or comments or questions?
No,
But that
thank
was
you.
your question. Okay. I know that we're over time. Last call by constituents for questions for Department of Human Services. Okay, not seeing any. Thank you again. I personally support the mission of addressing homelessness, and personally would also, or as the chair of ANC 60, would like to work with you to make it work for everyone, including the neighbors. And one last question, there was a mention of a smoking area. Is that within the boundaries of the site that includes the housing?
Well, I mean, I think that's what we've been sort of euphemistically referring. There's a picnic table out in the back
Okay.
of the building is, I think, the issue. Again, I could not speak to what all the regulations are off the cuff that about smoking per se. We leave that up to DGS and Department of Buildings and such to decide what these things are going to be. But I understand more. I think more to the point, I understand what Ms. Rosen's concern is about that particular picnic table and having folks utilizing that for adding a bit of aggravation to the already
So is that within the backyard
in the
of the
backyard. Yeah.
okay, so it's still
If
like
you
the
come around the
premises
back,
of the building. Okay,
it is attached to the building itself. Yes.
got it. So it's not within the alley. Okay.
It's in the alley, but not in the alley, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, I think there are a lot of like small details that would probably be more suited for detailed and more in-depth discussion, and we'll definitely follow up offline via email on creating the committee. So you said you'll get back to me by email, right? With a list of suggested government stakeholders who would be participating, and then ANC would provide some suggestions, and then we would identify co-chairs, and then the co-chairs would establish the committee. This is the next step, right?
That's exactly right. And by me, I think it'd be the global we. So more than likely, it'd be David Ross, the chief of staff for
Right.
DHS.
Yeah. I would say like me as in ANC 60 and you as in Department of Health Services,
Right,
not
exactly.
as the two individuals
Right,
necessarily.
exactly. In that respect, yes, absolutely.
Okay, great. So okay, just to get this moving, we'll follow up offline via email about who the two co-chairs would be, and then they would be responsible for establishing the committee. Yeah, we'll follow up with you, and thank you again for the update and coordinating with us and the neighborhood. Any last thoughts or comments before we wrap up? Okay, not hearing any. Thank you so much. Have a good night, and we will follow up via email.
Perfect. Thank you for the invitation, and good night, everyone. I appreciate the opportunity.
Have a good night.
Good night. Moving to the next item. I know that we have a presentation by Georgetown. Apologies for keeping you up this late. Oh, sorry, I promoted the wrong person. I see Jonathan. Jonathan, we have Corey. Good evening. Sorry for keeping you up this late. But lots of important topics to discuss. Thank you for joining us. Do you want to do brief introductions, and then I'll pull up the slides that you shared with us in the meantime?
Sure, absolutely. Good evening, everyone. Jonathan Labuti from Georgetown University here to talk about the first topic, activation of a temporary plaza to the east of our Capitol campus. So,
And good evening. My name is Corey Peterson. I'm our AVP for Community Engagement and Local Government Affairs. I am traveling today. Jonathan is helping us lead on that. And if it's possible to also elevate our Land Use Council, Dave Avidable, if he's in the room, he's going to cover the second item for us.
Sure. Let me do it before.
Thank you.
I shared the slides, and let me let me pull up the slides again. Yeah, the floor is yours.
okay, wonderful. Good evening again, everyone. So like yourselves, we learned this past winter about DDOT's plans to install protected bike lanes and as a result, reconfigure some of the traffic flow. That work was completed in the spring, and as we saw the work being done and completed, we thought it was an opportunity to activate a space to be an amenity for the neighborhood, for residents, for workers nearby, and for the campus community. So if we go to the next slide, there were some questions about the location. Great. So it is in fact fully south of Massachusetts Avenue, just where New Jersey and First Street come together there between F and G. And the next few slides we can kind of quickly click through. This just shows the closed conditions. And I think it's important to note that everything we're proposing in terms of occupying is within the already closed area. So if we click on the next slide, we are on the inside of these, the white flexible post and sort of the parking curbs that have been installed by the city. And so we started conversations with DDOT and others, and recently completed the PDRM process. And so we're limiting our scope really to installing a graphic on the asphalt on the roadway and deploying furniture. And we landed at that scope in hopes of being able to move quickly and get this installed, as quickly as possible. So if we can keep clicking through, there's just some more photos from different perspectives. And here's what we're proposing. So this is sort of looking to the west, slightly northwest. The stairs towards the top of the photo of the rendering there are the stairs going up to McDonough Hall. And so you'll see that we've created a variety of spaces, these U-shaped seating areas, which are sort of defined destinations, sort of rooms. where we envision folks being able to have lunch, catch up with a colleague, read a book, have a cup of coffee, so on and so forth. And then more flexible spaces that will sort of hopefully pull you through the space as you're walking north-south and traversing the neighborhood. And again, as you see kind of the border of this, the parking curbs there and the white flexible posts, those are already installed by the city, or in the area, again, we're doing is everything kind of inside of that. So we can click through, please. Here's a perspective looking north, looking east, south. This just shows the general layout of the furniture. The dimensions are too hard to read, but overall the length is roughly 200 feet and the widest portion is on the south side, which is on the left of the rendering at roughly 50 feet wide. And on the next slide, so in those renderings, you were probably wondering what that kind of those geometric shapes were on the pavement. And when we were working with the design team to try and figure out what this street graphic could look like, we kept coming back to a map of DC and a map of the street grid. And we kept looking at First Street and the diagonals of New Jersey. And so we identified those two axes, and if you click on the next slide, you'll see that that served as the inspiration to create these geometric shapes. I'm not sure if trapezoid is the right word. It's been a while since geometry class, but that was our inspiration for our graphic. And if you click on the next slide, this just shows that there will be a range of colors, tonal neutrals that will match the adjacent sidewalk, and then blue areas interspersed. And you'll see on the next and final slide that we're being strategic about the colors and where they are. So these seating areas are primarily on the neutral color. The furniture has a metal element, which is blue, and then wood. And so the furniture will stand as the pop of color. And then the blue geometric shapes are used to define the circulation pathways, so that where we anticipate pedestrians to kind of enter the space, walk through the space. So there was a method to the madness of the design here. And so this perspective is looking south with the steps up to McDonough Hall on the right side of the rendering. That's the last slide for this portion of the presentation, but happy to answer any questions. And forgive me, I can't seem to activate my camera.
All good. Thank you so much. I have a quick question. When you say temporary activation, like how long are your plans going to last for using this as a public space or a public plaza? Do you have a timeline?
We don't have a fixed timeline. We were not pursuing it in easement or any sort of permanent acquisition, if that's the right word, of the space. And we will be executing a covenant of maintenance and agree to maintain the space. We chose this path based on conversations about the ability to move quickly. And also, I think it will be an interesting testing ground with the furniture selected and the configuration to see what's successful and what's not, in hopes of maybe being able to rethink and do something perhaps more robust down the road.
Yeah, like my thought, if it's, good and successful, it's probably good to keep it for, a longer period. But if the plan is to pilot this and test it and then tweak it, that's also a good idea. Our internal unofficial transportation expert, Commissioner Prince, do you have any questions about this
I do, as a
proposal?
matter of fact. Thank
Go
you.
ahead.
I have a couple of questions. Who will be responsible for sanitation and security on site? And I wonder whether you have any concerns or have considered that with a very attractive site like this, you may attract some of the folks who currently like to use the memorial to the victims of communism, which is very nearby, which in and of itself is not really an issue, although I was dismayed on one recent occasion that immediately, very shortly after significant wreath laying, all the flowers had been just completely destroyed, and I felt it was even an act of vandalism, but that showed a disrespect for the public space. What are your thoughts on those issues about upkeep of the site, and is it and who is your public? Who is your intended public?
I'll answer your last question first. I mean, the intended public is the community at large, right? So whether they're a Georgetown student, a resident, visitors to the city that are traveling south to the mall, workers who work in the nearby office buildings, it's for everyone. In terms of sanitation, as part of our agreement with the city, Georgetown will be responsible for sanitation, so emptying the trash, receptacles, so on and so forth. Your question about security, I think, is a nuanced one. We have, I don't want to say we have concerns, but we're aware of the situation. So we have our campus police, Department of Public Safety. At any given time, there's 3 to 4 members of that team out on security patrol, whether it's out patrolling the campus, exterior of campus, excuse me. That can be on foot or oftentimes on mountain bike. There is also just to the southwest of this parcel, there's a parking garage, a parking booth, excuse me, that at most times of day has a physical presence of a DPS officer. But the reality is that there will be a regular presence during patrols of someone nearby to promote visibility. The reality is, though, my understanding is their jurisdiction does not extend into this public space, right? So that is something I think we just need to closely monitor and adjust as needed in partnership with other folks within the community.
Any other questions, Commissioner Prince?
No, nothing else comes to mind. Thank you.
And is it just a clarifying question? Is it currently a traffic lane that will be closed, or is it just a closed space already that will be turned?
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
It was closed by the city back in March, April, sometime in the spring. So we're not requesting any additional closures.
Yeah, so it's just activating a space that is currently not used for any other purposes.
Exactly.
Yeah, great. Other commissioners, any questions or comments? Okay. Constituents, do you have any questions? Let's see. Nancy, you have a question or a comment?
A question, actually. Thank you. I'm sorry to beat the same drum. First, let me say hello to Corey, if Corey's still listening, from Georgetown. Hi, Corey. So my question is, having lived here for 30 years and having seen lots of public space needing to be dismantled and taken away because of panhandlers, and how are you going to secure that those seating areas at night? It could be a problem. That's all I'm saying.
So yes, so the furniture selected, the proposed manufacturer is this company that's had successful deployments both at other higher education institutions, but more importantly within the city, the parklet programs near Golden Triangle, so on and so forth. And it's quite robust and bulky, for lack of a better word, Mr. Rosen. So it's not something that can easily be picked up and taken away. And furthermore, some of the larger pieces will be pinned to the asphalt to prevent any sort of items walking off.
And can you remind me and like maybe give us a quick um explanation about the community safety or public safety plan for this item? I mean, for this space, like who would be responsible for any concerns about safety at night or anything like that? Like, I personally don't think that we should not activate it because there are like, you know, we should activate it and then address any safety issues as well.
I think the reality from my perspective is it's no different than what our response would be or the community response would be if someone were, you know, right now doing something that was undesirable in those closed slip lanes. Um, and there is a presence right now on the sidewalk and whatnot as part of regular exterior patrols. And I think the reality is we're going to need to, just as the campus grows, expand exterior patrols and sort of DPS presence. But it is not, you know, it is not being officially part of the Georgetown campus, and so thus the jurisdiction is still as it stands today out there.
Got it. So it would be MPD, but you would have you know, some coordination with
Mhm.
MPD. That makes sense. Other constituents? Corey, I see that you're unmuted. Did you have anything to
I, w-
say?
I was just going to add on just a bit to what Jonathan had said. We have hired a new vice president for public safety. His name is Josh Bornstein. And he started about 3 weeks ago, and we've already reached out to Commander Hall and Captain Herbenek, and we have a meeting on the books. And forgive me, I'm traveling, so I can't see my calendar, but it's in the next couple of weeks. This will be on something that we'll discuss with them about how that jurisdiction will work and how we'll coordinate together on being sure that we have a public safety plan in place.
Mhm. Sounds great. Other constituents, do you have any questions? Okay. Not seeing any, is there an ask for ANC 60 at this point? Have you submitted an application? I believe I've seen a tops number somewhere with DDOT, but just wanted to make sure, like, if the ask is for us to vote on a resolution supporting your application for public space activation.
Correct. And sorry, Corey, feel free to chime in. But yes, we are officially entered in the top system. And the request is for a resolution of support for a separate one for the project we just discussed, and then an additional one for the signage that's upcoming in a few minutes.
Got it. Yeah, I just wanted to separate the two presentations just to like not get
Of course.
lost. Yeah, like discuss the two items and then go back to resolutions. Okay. Um, Commissioners, any concerns, comments, any last questions or thoughts before we vote on a resolution? Go ahead, Commissioner Prince.
Yeah, thank you. I think I'd just like to reinforce the importance of just kind of keeping an eye and see how it goes. I fully support it. I think it's a great idea. I was hoping when we discussed the closure of the lane there that it would be put to good use and available for the public. But we also have to be mindful of the potential for problems to crop up. So that's it. I just hope Georgetown will that we can find solutions if that happens, as well as with MPD.
Wonderful. Thank you.
That's great. Just pulling up the uh, previous conversation where it has the tops number. Okay. Um, So let me know if this language makes sense. It would be an ANC 6E resolution conveying to DDOT that the commission supports Georgetown University's application for a plaza permit, and the TOPS number is 476745. Does that, I mean, we can tweak the final language when we send you the um resolution, but just for now, for voting purposes, does that sound right to you?
Yes, if that's a question to me, sir, it sounds right. There's technically it's two separate permits within the top system, and I sadly don't know the second number. I need to find it, but it's
It's
two permits for the same project, essentially.
Yeah, we can say applications for now and then just add the TOPS number. You can email them to me and we can add them. Okay, so I move a motion to approve a resolution conveying to DDOT ANC 6E support for Georgetown University's Public Space Committee Aero and Plaza permit applications. Anyone would like to second? Oh, Commissioner Carson, go ahead. I just
Oh
saw the
no,
hand.
she was just trying to be let back up. I just added her. She was in
Oh,
the
I
audience.
see. Okay, anyone would like to second the motion?
I will second it.
Okay, so Commissioner Abukalauf moved and Commissioner Prince seconded a motion to approve a resolution conveying to DDOT that the commission supports Georgetown University applications for public space committee and plaza permit. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
And then Commissioner Rogers. Can you still hear us? Okay. I'll just say that the resolution passes with 5 ayes, 1 abstain, and 0 nays. And we will send you the resolution with exact language after this meeting or tomorrow morning. And then we'll move to the second part of the presentation.
Thank you. If you can promote, if you haven't already done so, my colleague David Avidable.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
I think yeah.
I'm here, if you all
Oh,
can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Excellent, thank you. All right, I
Yeah.
can't figure out how to turn my camera on either, but I'll just, you've all seen me before, so you can imagine.
All good. The
Great.
slides are up and
Great.
feel free to start the presentation.
Excellent, I will do now. Thank you, commissioners. Good to see you all, and thank you for hanging in with us on this evening. So I'm David Avidable with Goulston and Storrs Land Use Council to Georgetown, and I think this is possibly my third time before you talking about the building at 111 Massachusetts Avenue, which, as I think many of you know, Georgetown acquired a few years ago. The first time we came before you in the zoning commission was to ask for use of the building for university use. We had to do that because this building was approved through the planned unit development PUD process. And then we came back a second time a couple of years ago for us to be able to make some modifications to the existing building so we could reuse it for university use. And we have done so, and as you all have probably seen, the building is open and active, and we've finished a lot of the work both within the building and around the outside. And so we're here tonight with a minor request, but our third one and hopefully final one, which is regarding building signage. Briefly, we did include some ground floor building signage as a part of the approvals the last time around, but we would like to add an additional building identification sign at the top of the building. So that's what I'll briefly walk through with you all, and then we're happy to answer questions. So if we can go to the next page, please. Briefly, we're looking at adding 2 upper story signs to the building, one on the west side, one on the east side, in the locations shown here. And if we go to the next slide. you'll see this is the building in elevation and giving you a sense of the size and scale of the signage. It's sort of been done in a way that is proportional to the building. And the height of the letters, the primary portion of the letters, is consistent with other upper story signage that the zoning commission has approved, including, if you may recall, I think it was around this time last year, we came before you for some signage for that new law building that is going to be constructed on the portion of the Capitol campus where the law center is located. And so this is consistent with that. And I'll add as a note, part of the reason that we are bringing this forward now and we didn't bring this forward 2 years ago is the university has gone through a process of creating sort of a comprehensive approach to signage and wayfinding for the entire Capitol campus. And so part of the reason why we waited was we wanted to be sure that when we proposed something, there was some intentionality and thought to how it fit into the rest of the Capitol campus, and that's what this reflects. So we go to the next slide. This shows it just on the other side of the building. This is on the west side of the building. And then the next slide, we'll walk through quickly here. This is in a little more detail, giving you a sense of the type of the size of the signage. You can see here, sort of most of the characters about three and a half feet, which may sound large, but on the scale of a building that's this tall is not particularly large. It's pretty proportional. And if we go to the next slide, these will give you some sort of views of what this will look like superimposed onto the building. So this is looking up Massachusetts Avenue, looking at the east side of the building, and you can see the sign on the building here in the image. And then if we go to the next slide, this is a view coming up New Jersey Avenue from the south, looking north, again, giving you a sense of the signage on the building. And then next slide. This is a view looking east on Massachusetts Avenue back towards the Capitol, and you can see the sign there on the west side of the building and its north end. And then the last slide, I think the last slide here, and this is again the same image, sort of looking from the opposite side of Cobb Park, looking at the building, the sign on the west side of the building. And I think that is probably the last slide I really need to go through. We do have other signs, other plans here that show how the signage fits within the overall context for this building and the other ground floor signage, which I'm happy to walk through, but we can also just pause here to see if you have questions.
Yeah, Commissioner Prince, go ahead. Do you want me to
Thank
pull the
you.
slides back up?
Yeah, my question concerns the plans for illumination because currently the west side of the building is visible from where I live. I can see you have a sign that's looks a lot like what you've got, although in a different position right now. It's much higher on the building and off to the right. I don't know if the lettering size is going to be, looks like it might be somewhat smaller in the image, but then when you talk about illumination, that concerns me. We already have a light pollution problem from well, this is in my view from the cantata next door, and I'd like to know what the plan is. Is this 24-hour illumination of those letters, of the signage on the high level and also on New Jersey Avenue and at the entrance? Can you describe that a little bit? And how bright is it? Or is there a shut-off time, say 10 p.m. or something like that?
That is a good question, and one to which I do not have the answer, and I don't know if Jonathan or Corey, you do.
No, I mean, not in terms of specifics. Presumably, I would imagine it will be tied to a building schedule, and there's, illuminated around dusk, sunset time. But in terms of brightness, I couldn't speak to that from kind of like an engineering technical standpoint.
Mm-hmm. And
I know
what
the
are
intention with many of these, and not only because I've been through these conversations somewhat recently on other matters, these signs typically use sort of, more modern LED, and so the level of brightness is not is certainly not as bright as much older sort of signage that we think of as lit signage, neon signage, and the like.
Yeah.
Though if it's visible, it's visible, and I can appreciate that.
Right, right. I'm just trying to see over here at Capitol Crossing. I don't think they have any illuminated signage. They had at one time a signage for a company which is visible in the daytime, but I don't think it's illuminated at night. So this concerns me, and I'd like to know more about it because for the people who live where I do, that building is a major part of our view. And so if we were to add a big sign like that illuminated at all dark hours, um, that might be yeah, I'm not crazy about the idea. So I'd like to know more about it and how bright and what hours you're thinking about. Yeah. And what are you seeking from us tonight? Do you want a resolution of support? Do you need us to go in and approve your plan and well, it's not tops, I guess. Is there a zoning issue involved here?
Right. So this is going to the zoning commission
Yeah.
on October 9th. That's where it's currently scheduled. And so the intent was to ask for a letter of support, though obviously understanding your concern, which is a reasonable one. I think we would also like to think about that and get back to you with an answer. I think it's
Please.
understandable to want to know when the sign will be turned off, and I apologize that we just don't have that answer.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Would that sign, the one that is lit, is it also like the name of the university sign? Because I'm seeing that there's a sign on the ground floor with for the retail space, or is it both?
Well, why don't we if we can bring up the package again, and we can look at it all.
Yeah,
That'll be helpful, I think, to go through
let's
them.
do that. Yeah.
Because I think the intent would be, we'll have what we call the building identification signage, identifying the university signage. And we go to a couple of slides up, we'll see a bit more. Typically retail signage is what the retailers themselves choose to do. So there's the signage that we have over our entrance, and then there'll be separately the retail signage. And I think it is fairly common throughout the city, both in the downtown areas and in the areas where it is mixed in with a mix of residential community, particularly high density residential, to have ground floor signage that is lit. So I would expect our retail signage, we were certainly intending to do that. There wasn't a limitation per se on that. And you can see here that portal sign similarly calls for illumination as well.
No, that makes sense for the retail sign. My question was both of them, even the sign on the top with the red dot will be illuminated at night.
Yes, both that upper
Okay, both.
story sign and then the sign over the portal with the green dot.
Got it. And Commissioner Dale, your concern more would be about the upper sign, right? That would be more visible from
More so, yeah.
the surrounding
The
buildings.
east side of the building facing New Jersey Avenue doesn't, there's not a lot of residential property that I can think, well, there's a little bit up the street, to the north, but not sort of straight on, because mainly you're facing, the parking lot, the government printing office, the Central Union Mission, um, the Sonesta Hotel. But the west side of the building faces the Cantata, the Sonata. It's probably visible to people at 301. I mean, at Mass Court, uh, possibly 401 Mass Ave, 425 Mass Ave. I'm not sure, but particularly the people who have the south side face of the Cantata and all the people in the Sonata who also face east and
Got it.
south. Yeah, sorry, long
Yeah.
answer, but that's the
No, no,
concern.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Commissioner Carson, see that you raise your hand.
That's
Do you
that.
have a question?
You guys have the Georgetown University illuminated signage anywhere else in the city?
The approved sign for the new law building, which is over at Second and F, would also be able to be lit. Obviously, that building we haven't started construction on that yet.
So
And
the signage isn't anywhere else
no, I don't believe there is
illuminated. Okay.
illuminated signage. Hey, Corey or Jonathan, I can't recall where there is upper story lit signage on the main campus.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
I certainly think we can at a minimum agree that the signage will be turned off at either 11 or midnight. Understanding that at some point it's too much. I don't know whether that is sufficient to assuage your concerns, Commissioner Prince, but
I would have suggested earlier.
I'm laughing
that's what
because I would
that's
have
what I have the
suggested
ability to
earlier
offer
too.
now. But
yeah, I mean,
we
you know,
can certainly.
I might like to hear from some people who live, who would be looking at it, what time they think is reasonable. I think 10 is not unreasonable. A lot of people go to bed at 10, and so and that is also the time that the light on the roof deck at the cantata goes out as well, which shines directly into units on the east side of the Sonata on 3rd Street.
Would you be more comfortable if um there's a focus on the western facade, since that's the one that's facing the residential buildings, and then there's an earlier cutoff time for that, like 9, 10 p.m., and then the others can stay longer? Is that like a happy medium, Commissioner
Who was that
Prince?
question for?
For
Oh,
you first, and
for me.
then
The
for
question is,
Georgetown. I'm
would
saying like,
I like the
like,
focus?
is that like a compromise to have a focus on turning off the signs light on the western facade that is facing the buildings earlier, like 9 p.m., 10 p.m., and then the others can.
Yeah, although actually, if we don't have to decide this right now, I would like to hear from some constituents. If
So the
I don't know how
challenge.
much time we have.
Well, I think that's the challenge is the commission has it scheduled for October 9th. And I don't think you all meet again between now and then.
That's true.
I'm
Yes.
thinking about options and thinking about them in a way that I want to be, fair to my client, but also appreciate where I suppose you all could pass a resolution where you say you're supportive of it, provided that it's turned off by a certain hour. And then that sort of shifts the burden to us to figure out between now and then, can we agree to that or not? That's certainly one way to do it. I would like us to stay on track. I know the university would like to get the signage,
Yeah.
up. Obviously, I'm sorry that we didn't daylight, no pun intended, this issue sooner. But
yeah,
I think
sometimes the way things are.
That's maybe on us. Well, partial on both parties. I think like we didn't get the chance to review, but also I think um our focus was mostly about like the sizing of the sign, which I didn't think it would be an issue, and I didn't think much or didn't know that it would be lit on. So I think it's like a combination of both. But we have worked with you before and we have figured out you know happy mediums. But maybe before we continue the discussion, are there any constituents who live in the surrounding area or familiar with it? Maybe we can hear from them. Nancy, I see your hand raised. And if any other constituents have comments or questions, feel
Hi.
free to let us know.
I have a very quick clarification question. So is this the old Darth Vader building or is this the old Walmart building?
This is the old Darth Vader building.
Okay, thank you. I have no comment on the signage.
Okay, thank you.
Idea was, do we want to maybe do like a I know this may not be ideal, but do like a special meeting in early October. That way it gives time to get input, Dale, and we could also potentially talk about the 25 East Street shelter. We may have to, I wonder if we have to vote as an ANC whether to be a part of a CAT. So that could be also part of the agenda. I don't know for sure or not, but that
Yeah,
was just an
and don't believe that we have to vote on for being a cat, but I
Okay.
also would let Commissioner Prince decide if we want to do a special
Yeah, no,
meeting
I was
with the
hoping we could
stipulation that
resolve it less formally. I mean, uh, I would agree to, if you could say 10, um, without ruling out that we might open a discussion later, at some point, in either direction. Um, but I think midnight's it's a bit late, because that means if you're sitting in your living room, you're looking at this thing with the curtains open. Yeah, I can imagine. I don't know how bright it's going to be, but most signs it's to be visible. It's got to put some light out there, and it just adds to the light pollution around.
or
No,
I see
I
that you're unmuted. Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
I appreciate this conversation, and I think for tonight's purposes, if we can get to a resolution and support, I think we can agree to 10 p.m. so long as we can continue to have some conversation about possibly extending to 11. And I only offer that because that's when our building closes, and that would be a natural ability to say the building is closed, the lights go off, everybody's departing and heading home to their respective apartments in the three adjoining neighborhoods. And so I'm open to that. I appreciate, and I don't know who said that on the commission, but I like that idea of let's move forward with something tonight around 10, and we keep that conversation open where we might be able to amend that to 11 when the building closes.
Sounds reasonable.
And I know we could combine with DC quiet hours, which is 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. I just looked that up.
Thank you. I was wondering what law applies here, but quiet hours are useful to know. Not the same as lighting, but useful to know for context. Absolutely.
Okay. So Corey, just to clarify, you said 10 with the possibility to talk about 11 p.m.
Correct. Yeah. For tonight, I think we'll 10 p.m. with the opportunity to explore in the future to 11 p.m., recognizing the conversation tonight, the illumination and how bright it is. And we want to be cognizant of that. We want to be good citizens of the neighborhood and the district. So I think that's a reasonable compromise for tonight. So thank you.
and to save us from maybe having to come back here for a fourth time, because I was going to make a joke about third time's the charm and being done with this. One way we could frame it, if you all are comfortable, is that you frame it as you're supportive of the signage with the condition that it is lit until 10 p.m. or it turned off at 10 p.m. or 11 p.m. if subsequently agreed to between the university and ANC 6E, so that we wouldn't have to go back to the commission after.
Right.
But I'll just
Right.
put that out there as a thought.
I can live with that. And I just want to add, just as a data point, that as things are now, even without the sign, there are a lot of lights on in that building at night. I'm looking at it right now and I see what looks like video screens, and just, horizontal rows of lights. So the building's already putting out quite a lot of light in my direction on the west side.
Well, and that actually goes a little bit to Corey's point, turning off with the rest of the building when the lights also come off, or at least go down to nighttime lighting levels, which are lower. But we should have that conversation, and perhaps we can pull together information from a lighting consultant that shows actually the light from the sign is not much more than what's coming from the building. But we should
and I will
be able to
confess,
show that.
I'm not up on what it looks like much later at night, because my bedtime.
Same for me these days.
Only when you have ANC meetings that run past 11 p.m. Hopefully
Please,
none.
no.
Hopefully none.
That's
Okay.
right.
I'm glad that we reached an agreement. Let's see. So they asked us to vote on a resolution, and this is going to the zoning committee, you said?
To the zoning commission, and the case
Commission.
number is 80-07F.
Okay. I mean, yeah, we can include it in the actual resolution, but just for voting purposes. Um, okay. So a resolution that conveys to the zoning commission that ANC 6E supports Georgetown University's application for amending the signage for 111 Massachusetts Avenue. Does that sound right as a resolution? Just for now for voting purposes, and we can change the exact language. Okay. Commissioner Prince, do you want to make the resolution, or would you want me to make the resolutions?
I was
Then,
thinking either you or perhaps
okay.
Commissioner Carson, because it's actually not
Oh
by
yeah,
SMD.
Commissioner Carson. I don't know why yeah.
I
My
moved
mental
to,
mapping is saying it's in EO8, but it's in EO7. Go ahead, Commissioner Carson. Would you want to make the resolution, or would you
it
want me to
doesn't
make?
matter. It's
Okay. Okay. I'll just go ahead and so I move to vote on resolution conveying to the zoning commission that ANC 6E supports Georgetown University's application to amend the signage for the building at 111 Massachusetts Avenue in 6007. Anyone would like to second? Commissioner Carson, would you like to second?
I second.
The Commissioner Abu Khalaf moved and Commissioner Carson seconded a motion to approve a resolution that conveys to the zoning commission that ANC 6E supports Georgetown University's application to amend signage at 111 Massachusetts Avenue in SMD 6007. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Commissioner Ladif, I don't think I heard you. Was that an aye?
Aye.
Great. So the resolution passes with 6 ayes, 0 nays, and no abstains. Thank you for staying up that late with us tonight, and we will work with you to get you the final signed versions of the resolutions.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you,
Thank you
and
again.
have a good night.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Good night.
Yep. And now moving to the next item. So there's an application for renewing a liquor license with APCA. It's Class C nightclub. It's in 6001 for over under cloakroom at 476 K Street Northwest. It's in Commissioner Al-Adif's district or single member district, and he doesn't have any concerns about supporting the renewal of the liquor license. I don't think we're joined by anyone. I think we sent an invite, but I don't think there's anyone that represents the establishment. So, Commissioner Alatif, would you like to make a resolution? Or other commissioners, do you have questions, comments, concerns, constituents? Do you have any comments? Yeah. And for those, like, it's good always to vote on resolutions conveying the support, but also figured out that if you don't do anything and do not object, then nothing happens, and that just shows that we're in support. But Commissioner Ladif, did you want to move a motion, or would you want me?
Yeah, I motion to express ANC 6E support for the renewal of the liquor license at Cloakroom / Over Under.
Great. No one would like to second?
I second.
Great. Commissioner Alatif made a motion and Commissioner Carson seconded a motion to approve a resolution that conveys to APCA and C6E support for the renewal of the APCA license for Cloakroom Over Under at 476 K Street Northwest in SMD 6E01. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Commissioner Hans, I don't think I heard you. Okay, great. The motion passes with 6 ayes, 0 nays, and no abstains. Moving to the next item, which is the fiscal year 2026 budget for ANC 6E. And as a reminder, the fiscal, it's actually for a fiscal year. The fiscal year starts in November through the following October. So
October.
while we're still in calendar year 2025, the fiscal year for 2026 starts in November through October of 2026. Is that right, Commissioner Carson?
It starts in October. I'm sorry, October.
Yeah. So it starts in November 2025 and then ends in October 2026, right?
I think it starts in October and then so it'll
It starts
end
in
in
October.
Yeah.
Okay. So October through October.
October through September.
Through September. Okay. So it will start in October, so next month, 2020 through September 2026. Got it. And that would be fiscal year 2020. Let me pull up the proposed budget. And then Commissioner Carson, feel free to highlight any specific numbers. So again, this is a proposed budget, and it doesn't mean that we need to use all these funds for these specific items. It just means that we appropriate or allocate these funds with the possibility of spending up to these amounts if needed. So yeah, go ahead, Commissioner Carson.
Okay, excuse me, I'm sorry. Our ending balance for 2025 is $125,282.73. The allotments we will receive for the 2026 fiscal year total is $22,445.19. Each quarter will receive $5,611.29, except for quarter 4, which will be $5,611.32. Where you see Q4 at in K section 7. All right, and the total of the entire year will receive $22,000, I'm sorry guys, $445.19. That in totaling and adding our balance that was forwarded will total in $147,727.92. And then below, I'm sorry. Okay, then below you will see the disbursements. So for personnel, we have set aside $6,000. Direct office calls, we have set aside $5,000. Communications, $2,000. Office supplies, $2,000. For grants, $12,000. Transportation and childcare, $400. PO purchases of services, $5,000. Bank charges, $500, and any miscellaneous things that may come up, $400. The items that we use now, POS for current and the minutes, office supplies, the post office, envelopes and things like that. Bank charges we don't use. because we're set aside as a nonprofit or something like that through the bank, and as a government entity, they don't charge us. However, at the beginning of 25, some type of contract we signed before maybe any of us got in office had renewed, and somehow in the bank system it didn't go over properly. So they subtract the funds, which is like $40 per month, then they send it back to our account. So sometimes when I'm explaining the reports, you'll see that, but they do send the money right back. And that's it. The other costs is personnel, communications. We will set those aside for our website and things like that. But the other costs is like transportation, childcare, and things like that. Miscellaneous personnel we don't use, but we have those. We have funds set aside just in case throughout the year we come up with something we want to use those funds for. And that's about it. It'll total the use of funds we'll use is $33,300, and afterwards our balance will be $114,000, $427.92, what you see below.
Yeah. No, that's great. And as a reminder, those are allocated. So those are numbers that we have. We're saying that we could, if we needed to spend under these items, we could spend up to this amount, but we don't have to. Of course, unless, we need to spend certain amounts. Like if we have for 3 grams, then we actually spend the whole amount. That's one thing. But for other like office costs, like only if we really need to rent space, and we would get an approval from the office of ANC just to make sure that we're complying with the guidance. And yeah, like purchase of services, like if we need legal assistance with certain issues or something like that. But again, also other than that, it's these numbers that we're appropriating, allocating for items where we say we could spend up to this amount. The budget can be amended at some point if we think we need more funding for specific items and less for others. So these are just estimated expenditures, and we're saying that we are allocating this amount for this expenditure. We could spend up to this amount, but I think for a lot of items, we typically don't even spend half of it throughout the year. So just to be like on the safe side in case we need to use some of these funds. Commissioners, do you have any questions or comments?
And purchases of services where are used, those funds are used for current minutes at the moment.
Okay. So personnel, we don't really use them, right? That would be just us like hiring an assistant, like an admin assistant, which we haven't done, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Commissioner Rogers, do you have a question or a comment?
Yeah, you want to give a party with the money that we have?
Well, you will get in trouble with the Office of ANC and other entities. So
It's just a
we
suggestion.
I think we under no, I don't, yeah, no. I think we can use the grant to support maybe an event, right? For
And
community
if we have
serving
our own
organization.
event and things like that, I'm not for sure if that will fall under the grant, but we can have an event where we are showcasing our different our different city
Yeah.
districts and giving out handouts and things like that. But a full blown party, I don't think so.
No, no, absolutely not. That was a joke.
No, that was just a joke.
In the
But
minutes, we'll
I
ask
go with
Karen to
you,
highlight it was a joke.
Yes.
I go with you, Ms. Carson. We can come up with something. That
Yeah.
sound like that sound pretty good from what you said.
Commissioner Dale.
Thank
Commissioner
you.
Prince.
Yeah, I would, since we're on the topic of possible grants, I would just like to ask the other commissioners to kind of keep your ears open to possible events where we could support some organization or expend some money in an appropriate way ourselves in support. And I'm also, of course, mindful that we need to look for a way to support the opening of Cobb Park when that happens. And we should be thinking of partners to do that with. I don't know what the district is planning, but it's a major event in our ANC, and we should be prepared to support it.
Great. I think what's next for me, um, and this could be a group effort, is reaching to the office of ANC um to get the most recent guidance about how these grants can be made, because I know like the broader guidelines about it cannot be duplicating city funded services, it cannot be for a permanent structure or permanent program or something like that. But also if any commissioner has ideas, or you just like think this could be a good idea, let's run it by the office of ANC. And then we can also check about whether there's an official process for like a grant application or something like that. Sure, there should be some final agreement where we're saying ANC 6E is giving a grant for this amount to this organization, but even before, I don't know if it's up to us or there's an official process for
Yeah,
I
it's
think
getting
there is.
I
nonprofits.
think it's up to us, but they will have to apply. It won't be us saying, "Hey, this is the grant money." Like they will have to apply.
Oh yeah, that's correct. But is there like a specific form, or is it just like up to us to decide how?
It's a form. I believe on their website. I
Okay.
went to one of the presentations they had a while back, but I believe it's on their website. I can look
Right.
and send it to
But it
you.
seems like there was like some changes, right? Because it seems
Hmm.
like there were like no grants given for a while, and then there were like multiple
I think they were given,
waves
but
of
people just
guidances.
wasn't utilizing them.
Right. Okay.
Hmm.
But we can definitely work with the office of ANC on getting those grants out to, for useful and community serving purposes. Um,
For the information, I'll send an email it over to you so you can take a look also.
Great. Yeah, if you can share it with everyone also, that would be good. Commissioner Rogers, do you have a question or a comment?
No.
Okay. Um, okay. So we don't have any concerns. Commissioner Carson's as the treasurer, do you want to make a motion to vote on the budget proposal?
Yeah, sure. I move to approve the FY 2026 ANC 6E budget proposal.
Great. Anyone would
I have
want to second?
Second.
Okay. So Commissioner Carson moved and Commissioner Al-Adif seconded a motion to approve the proposed budget for fiscal year 2026 for ANC 6E. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Commissioner Rogers.
Aye.
Okay. So the motion passes with 6 yeas or ayes, no nays, and no abstains. Moving to the last segment, which is the open forum. As a reminder, each commissioner or constituent can raise an issue or make any comments for up to 2 minutes. And then for constituents, we have also ANC response time after that. Commissioners, did you want to raise any items? From this meeting, we have the CAT. Remind me, what does it stand for? It's a community
Advisory team.
advisory team, as if we needed more acronyms in the world that we live in. To not remember what it stands for. Okay, so community advisory team. Will I will coordinate with the Department of Human Services on how we want to have the co-chairs. I think Commissioner Hahn, since you've been involved the most and you expressed the interest, may make more sense to have you as one of the two co-chairs if everyone is okay with that. Commissioner Carson, Prince, or anyone else, do you have interest in being one of the two co-chairs or being a member of the group?
I don't,
Uh,
but I'll join the meetings.
Okay.
Yeah, I definitely want to be a participant in the CAT. Now, was my understanding we were going to have, well, now, just clarify, we're going to have two co-chairs. Will they both be commissioners or both be from the ANC? We would not have, no.
No, my understanding is that like we would have if that document that the Office of ANC sent is the most recent one, is that it's typically the chair or someone on the behalf of the chair from the commission, and then another member from the commission. So it could be one co-chair from the commission and then one participating member from the commission. But then my understanding is that the other co-chair would be from the executive office.
Okay,
Uh,
so
So it could be someone from Department of Health Services or it could be from the mayor's office. And then both of them would decide on how many members the group will have and who are the members. But
gotcha. So,
I think we would have to double check with Department of Human Services because it seems there's like some like room for um working out the details of who is involved and how many members. And I think also like we can think about who will be the two co-chairs. But I think it makes sense to have at least one from the ANC, one co-chair
agree,
from the ANC for sure.
agree.
um
I thought Commissioner Hans wanted to do that.
sure.
Yep, I'll take it.
So I do want to participate actively in the CAT. I don't feel prepared right now to take a leadership role.
You don't have to, you could be one of the members
Would like
representing,
to.
so both of you would be members representing ANC 6E.
Yes,
One of you would be like Commissioner Hans would be a co-chair and you would be a member. And
I
then
will kibitz freely. Um, and I hope that Commissioner Carson will also be able to join us. And I hope we will not be limited to only two members of the ANC on the CAT.
yeah, I think yeah, that's a good question. And I don't know what the rules are. Like if you're not a member, I think you still can be involved by attending meetings. Like I don't think that the meetings are
Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't be
closed,
sitting on a
but I'll
panel
double
with
check.
you guys or anything like that. As I mentioned in the first meeting when you
Yeah,
mentioned it, but I
yeah,
don't mind, coming in and
yeah.
supporting any other
And
way I can.
I don't believe that there are decisions like voted on by the committee, right? It's more of a coordination and um, finding solutions, but it's not like there are voting members and non-voting members. I think it's just more about coordination and
Okay.
coming up with solutions. So I think that should be fine, Commissioner Carson, but I'll double check also
Okay.
about attendance. So yeah, we'll move that. Any other items that you
I
wanted to
just
raise?
could I just ask for clarity on the date of our next meeting because I had understood that we had agreed to meet on the last Thursday of every month,
Oh yeah.
which is usually the fourth, but twice a year it is not. And in October, it's the 30th, although we've all received an invitation now for the 23rd. And I just wanted to confirm that the meeting's on the 30th and
Right.
not the 23rd. Is
Yeah.
that
No,
correct?
yeah, it should be on the 30th. I think we had like sent out the meetings before when we first decided on, I think it was the fourth Thursday versus the last, which is the case now. So we'll
Yeah.
update it. to have it on the 30th. Did I have it right did we have it right in the agenda when we said
I don't know. I received
I'll
an
take a look.
email.
Oh yeah. I think the calendar invites, it's just that we send them earlier and then we did a second change it from fourth to
Okay.
last. So unless there's a conflict with a holiday or something like that, I think we can just go with the last Thursday. For example, in
Yep.
November, we would have to adjust because that would be Thanksgiving Thursday. So for certain for certain
Yes, and we've
for
already.
certain meet, yeah, and I think also it will be like in December it's the 25th of which is Christmas, a holiday. So also we may want to
Right.
just have a vote maybe in, let's see. Yeah, vote in October amending the dates for the two meetings, right?
Yes.
That's what we usually do. We have to amend um
Exactly.
the meeting time. So I'm glad that you raised that. So we'll do that and then next month just adjust the dates for November and December.
Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Hans?
Yeah, I just moved the meeting for October to the last Thursday. And then my other just comment I wanted to make. So I know we had worked with that cannabis store about that settlement. So it looks like they're not actually going to be going to that area anymore. It was a little bit too
Oh,
expensive. Yeah, I just texted Marcus and he said that the deal with the landlord fell through, so we don't have to deal with it anymore. It looks like the previous tenant might come back, so it might be, I think, that company Produce we had worked with initially,
uh-huh.
but more to come. But yeah, long story short, we don't need to do any settlement at least right now. Rent was too
There's
high.
there's something interesting about this space.
I know. I don't know. It's like keeps going back and forth. So he was saying he negotiated for 5 months with this landlord and then went with somebody else. So really
Oh,
frustrating.
yeah. Um, that's yeah, that's unfortunate. I think my question for the group, if you thought that the discussion we had with MPD about recent changes with policing was sufficient, or shall we try to like have a longer section in one of the next couple of meetings and possibly invite more people from the DC government. It could be like the deputy mayor for public safety or something like that. If you have like more questions or if you feel like you need more information about this topic.
I didn't feel I needed more information about the topics we touched on, but in general, I think it might be interesting to have a little bit more discussion about community policing patrols on the foot patrols, bike patrols, where that stands. Is there a trend? Is there a change? Um, it's something I'm just sort of curious about. I mean, I don't live in a like, well, I was gonna say I don't live in a high crime area, but yeah, well, okay, we had a couple of carjackings up the block. It's it seems like mostly we just see people from MPD in cars. And I'd like to maybe explore that with them
Mm-hmm.
a little bit. But it could be done in the current format as long as with a little bit
Yeah,
more time and planning.
got it.
Although maybe some other voices such as the
Yeah.
mayor's office or something like that.
Other commissioners, any thoughts on this? Okay. Any other topics or comments, questions commissioners want to raise for discussion? Or constituents who are still with us, any comments, questions for ANC 6E?
We wore them out.
I mean, we had a lot of important topics
We did.
to
We did.
discuss, so we had to, but it could be worse. Only 9:32 p.m.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, don't last call for questions, comments. Okay. Not seeing any. I think we can go ahead and wrap up. The next meeting would be on the last Thursday of October, which is October 30th. And with that, I would make a motion to adjourn ANC 6E September 25, 2025 meeting. Anyone would like to second?
I'll second that.
Okay. I heard Commissioner Rogers first, so Commissioner Abu-Khalaf moved, Commissioner Rogers seconded. A motion to adjourn ANC 6E September 25, 2025 meeting. Thank you for your service and thank you for staying up this late with us. Have a good night and we'll talk to you soon.
Well, we have to vote on that, don't we?
Oh, see, I am getting tired and sleepy. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 I was like, why are they all unmuting at the same time? I know it makes sense. Commissioner Aladif, I could I couldn't hear you. And Commissioner Rogers, do you vote aye?
Aye.
And Commissioner Aladif? For some reason we can't hear you. Well, doesn't count if the commissioner votes in the chat. Well, that's fine. We'll just say it passes with 5 ayes, no nays, and 1 abstain, just in case.
You
This
voted.
is
You
the
voted in
rule.
the chat.
Does that count? Okay.
I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Well, it's fine. Either way, it passes, and we'll be fine just to be on the safer side. Okay, so the motion passes with 5 yeas, 1 abstain, and no nays. And now I can say thank you for staying up this late and for being here tonight. And we'll talk to you soon. Have a good night.
Good
Good
night.
night.